Let's see this again. Look, Bryce is moving in, and I mean, it's picture perfect.
I want to thank me.
To all the young people out there.
I'm here because of you.
How do I get rich?
You're going to suffer the difficulty of being invisible.
400 trillion to
I'm this million nobody.
But it's more important to be nice.
No, you should be capable of it.
Until I started winning.
Cause on a mission, your worst enemy is idle time.
All right, another episode of Idle Time Podcast. We're here with the man who has napalm in his right fucking hand. We have Josh Emmett coming down from Sacktown, NorCal meets SoCal. Welcome, and I thank you for coming by, big dog.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Oh man, I think you came down for Jackson, right? Before?
Yeah, I went to Newport, right?
Newport, I think they're in Newport. Yeah. I gotta fucking meet those dudes.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was a cool setup. Went down there and same type of thing. Just did a day trip, but got to meet Rampage and all the guys there. And
apparently
it was
Rampage
cool.
got to meet you too. I saw that he didn't know who you were. It's such a throws me off. Now again, good excuse. What do you say that just after so many fights and so many events, he just kind of doesn't keep track anymore.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said he just kind of not lost the love for the sport, but he wasn't following the UFC after he was done with it.
Yeah.
And then when Conor came around, he became like a big fan of Conor.
Yeah.
And would tune into his fights, but he didn't stay up with the sport.
I know a lot of veterans that are similar. Like they'll watch the bigger cards, the main attractions, but there are 700 plus UFC active fighters now, or 800. And I think Rampage time, maybe 100.
Yeah.
Maybe 100, and there was about 7 stars total. And Pride would bring in some more stars, but ultimately for him, it's a whole nother. He's not looking at the same thing.
No.
So I can see why, he didn't know. You thought you were like new though. He was like how long you been fighting? You're like 8 years. He's like, oh shit, like okay, that's long enough.
And then part of that, I'm like, is he trolling me? But no, it was real. But he was.
I would love to meet Rampage. Like he's one of the old school fighters that got me into the sport. I saw him after the Nate Diaz.
That's what I was saying. He was sitting
the
right
muscle
there.
though.
Yeah,
he was. They had like after party. I don't go to bars or clubs, but I went because one of the sponsors that I have also were the main water company. So I wanted to go check it out. And I got the influencer free, invite thing.
Yeah. So
I went, got myself a water, and I saw Rampage there. But he was, some women and other stuff. I don't know.
Oh, you didn't get to talk to him?
And I'm not gonna at a club. I'm not gonna ignore you. Like I'm not gonna mess with you in a club.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a dick.
Yeah.
Like favorite fighter or not, I'll run into you sooner or later.
Yeah, for sure.
Vanderlei Silva, for that generation. That was one of the last times I actually were like a fan, like really a fanboy. I see you fighters all the time, and it's great conversation. It's great to see you. I saw Vanderlei at, I think 300? Whatever the last one was in Vegas. Oh, International Fight Week.
Yeah.
I saw Vanderlei, and I'm not going to lie, it was everything for me. It made my fucking year. Yeah. I love the Axe Murderer. That dude helped get me into the sport, the fucking stare downs, the craziness. That shit. It was great. And fucking big Russian voice as a Brazilian. I don't know how it works. But
he got inducted at the Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame
that weekend.
Well overdue. Yeah, well
sure.
overdue. I don't care if he was never in the UFC. You induct that guy in somebody's Hall of Fame. Yeah. One FC should put him in their Hall of Fame, even if he never fought there, just because as a fighter, He was a pillar. Him, Miracle, Matt Hughes, some of these old school fighters.
All the guys, I feel like they were just like pioneers of the
pioneers.
sport, and like they're legends of the sport.
Yeah.
It's people that I grew up watching. And you're saying when Rampage was there, and maybe only 100 fighters, it's like, man, I was watching the pay-per-view back in '99 when I was a freshman in high school with my best friend. When there was pay-per-views like a few times.
That's Kid Shamrock days,
a few times
right?
a year, yeah. There's still BJ Hughes, Tim Sylvia, Randy Couture,
Tim
Liddell,
Bigfoot, fucking Bigfoot,
dude, all of them, Arlovsky, and then I fought my debut in the UFC. Arlovsky was
still
headlining.
fighting, yep.
He was headlining the card in Rotterdam, and like I was watching him grow up and be, he was.
How does that feel to like meet the Rampages and fight on same cards as Arlovsky, and now you're like, you can be a text away from some of these guys that when you're in the gym, you'd be like, man, I would never fuck with that guy. How does it feel, one, to meet some of these guys and be like, nah, fuck some of these guys up? And then two, like just to meet some of the legends of the sport.
Yeah, it's wild. Like when I was watching it with my friend, I used to think like I wrestled, played sports my whole life. I'm watching this. I'm like, I would kill these guys. I'd beat these guys up. And I was delusional. I was delusional. Like they would have seriously killed me. They would have hurt me. When I started getting into MMA and go to my first sparring practice, it's really humbling,
Surreal.
And I'm thinking, okay, I would have thought I could beat these guys that are at the top of the game back then. But then fast forward, then I'm here. I'm a household name now. And so when I meet some legends or pioneers of the sport like BJ Penn, I went down to Brazil, Rio, and I cornered my teammate and friend Clay Guida.
Yeah.
And he fought BJ. And so I'm talking to BJ, and he's like, man, I'm a big fan of you. Like, keep doing what you're doing. And that's kind of crazy to me because I grew up watching him, and I was a fan of him, still am. And now he's a fan of me. And that happened when I met Tito, too, Ortiz.
I haven't met Tito.
He was my favorite fighter of all time. Like,
really?
Growing up. Like, I liked all of them, like Liddell and Couture and all these guys. But Tito was my favorite fighter. And I would
Chuck
do
and Vanderlei.
anything to, like, get a picture with him. And then I ran into him in Tahoe a few years back at Combate, a fight. And he said the same thing. Man, I've been watching you for a while. I'm a huge fan of you. I'm like,
that has to be fucking
it's crazy.
great.
It's crazy.
You realize, okay, you know what? I did put in my work. You start to like validate. Sometimes we validate ourselves, but we wonder if we like see something like for ourselves. Like going to the gym. You go to the gym for a couple of weeks, you see yourself, but maybe you see what you want to see.
Yeah.
And then when somebody else compliments you, it's kind of like, I knew it. Right. I knew I fucking looked good.
I saw that.
Yeah, like you put in all the work and you're that guy. You got to tell yourself you're the guy regardless. Mm-hmm. But then when the guys tell you, like, hey, man, you're the guy, it's kind of like, man, I know I wasn't fucking crazy. Like, I know the work I put in. I knew I was doing something. I knew I was moving the needle. Like, you get a different type of appreciation for yourself. Like, for me, I'm just a fan. But, in the VIP UFC things, one, there's not a lot of big-ass black dudes in there. It's normally, upper middle class or rich white guys, and then a couple of random people. But people mistake me for a fighter all the time just because I'm big, athletic. But BJ Penn was one of them. When I met, he didn't know who I was, but he just assumed I was somebody. But I loved the love, right? He was just like, "Yo, what's up? How you doing? How you been?" And I'm like, "I've been good. I don't think I am who you think I am."
Yeah.
But either way, the humility it was, and then when he figured out I wasn't a person, he's one of the most humble people I've ever met.
Oh, for sure.
But for me, it's BJ fucking Penn.
Yeah.
That's, so it's the guy. Like, even Clay Guida, right?
Yeah.
The dude did a shout out for me, and, shout out to the Wolf, and I'm like, hey, these are legends.
Yeah.
Arlovsky's super serious, but to watch him for so many years, and to the point that when I see these guys now, it's no point in getting a picture. I've seen them so many times. We have one picture together, which is not on my wall. I don't know why. I looked at it today. I was like, wow. I was like, I got to find it. I'm missing like 30 or 40 pictures. We'll get a better one today. And a couple times I see you now, I don't, shake hands. It's like, I've seen you enough where it's like you recognize me and I recognize you. And you get out pretty often, more often than I would have thought. I've seen you at different places.
I'm trying to, I'm a big fan of the sport. I always have been. So any live sporting event too, if it's not boxing, if it's not like MMA, I like going to basketball games, and especially the Kings, that's my team, Sacramento.
Yeah, sure.
And but no.
You're the only one to say you like going to a Kings game in years. Since Vladdy
only people that have been down here, but no, they're doing good. But going to the games, just really any live sporting event, man, I have a good time. And
I mean, entertainment is entertainment.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you kind of worked hard to breathe and be able to relax, and you don't have to have a job anymore. And so when you got time off, why not go to these places and enjoy yourself, enjoy the fruits of your labor? A lot of times as men, we plant seeds for trees we will never enjoy the shade of, right? For kids or for other people or family members. But I'm glad you're able to enjoy some of the fruits of your labor for going out there and doing these crazy ass fight camps and dealing with that. And then running into you at the Nate Diaz was great. I was just sitting there and I was like, perfect person to run into. My podcast actually started. I was like, I know way back in the day you said you'd do it. Yeah. And I was like, but I didn't start it, which is my fault. Right? I had a few people say they would do it, and it was 8 months later I finally started. And 8 months later, some of these people that said they'll do it are a lot more famous now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've been on red, left on red by some of these guys that we'd conversate back and forth just fine.
Yeah.
I finally get a podcast, they're a little more famous, and I get left on red. And I'm like, it's all good, right? I'm not going to take it
as... It's the
as...
same old thing. Like, I remember the first time I met you in Vegas, and you're like, I'm thinking about doing this podcast. What do I have to do to bring you out there? I said, I'll just come on and do it for you. So I remember that. It's like, I'm not going to charge you to do it just because I said I would do it.
I appreciate it.
I'm like, I'm not going to I'll go do like appearances, other things, and get paid to do it. But I'm like I remember those things, and I'm like, yeah, of course I'll do it. Like I said, like I'm a man of my word. So if I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it. So I do remember that. And then when I ran into you in L.A. at the Masvidal Diaz fight, I was like, hit me up, man.
There we go. I hit you up. You responded. I've had a few people. Teofimo Lopez told me hit him up then at that point. My shit's on red still.
Ah, damn.
Andre Feely told me he'll do it. He's, hey, just hit me up. It's on red. But you know what's on funny? I'm interviewing Andre Feely probably tomorrow. Yeah. He doesn't remember. I'm going to call him out. As soon as the cameras roll.
Tell him I said what's up. No,
look, as soon as the cameras roll. And look, busy dude. Yeah. But he also said he'll do it. Right, I think the next day, him and Cubs fight were announced.
Oh shit!
So when shit like that happens, I'm not.
Not
fight camp, man. Like if I can get you during fight camp, it's great because that means I can release you before your fight.
Yeah.
But fight camp is fight camp. I might not be a fighter, but I respect fight camp, and a lot of people don't do much media during fight camp. It's time to lock in 2, 3, 4 times a day. You're putting yourself in a different mind space. You're gonna go to war. He's gonna go to war with a legend at UFC 300.
Yeah.
Fuck media.
Yeah.
You don't. If I was in SAC, he probably would do it.
Yeah.
But flying out of town and doing all that, it's one of those I don't mind. Bilal said he'll do it same day as Andre Feely. I think the same night or the next day, the fight was announced for him and Leon.
Yeah.
So and it's like
it's gonna be tough getting him on.
And now it's probably impossible because he's a champ now. So he's probably too good for an interview. Or I'm not gonna say too good. I'll say too busy. But, let's see if he honors, saying it. Chuck said he'll do it like way long time ago. Chuck drove 2 hours here in his own personal car. Awesome. I told him I'll come to him. He drove here, personal car, came out, did the interview, outside interview, fucking 100-degree weather. So shout out to Chuck fucking Liddell for being a man of his word. He's a better person. He is a fighter, and he's a hell of a fighter.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that about you. You're way better human than you are a fighter, and nobody can ever doubt you're a fighter. You're number 1 ranked human, even if you're number 7 ranked fighter. But speaking of rankings, it's time to get back in that title contention run.
Yeah.
You took 2 losses in a row. So I always ask fighters, like, what's a fight they always, what's a fight out of all your career you want to run back? Let me see if I'm right, assuming Ilya.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to. Champ or no champ, you got to run that back?
Yeah, no, I want that back. Like, there's all of them I want back, but it's like the one that's most important because he's still undefeated. He's the featherweight champion. Him and I fought, but when I do come back, depending on who they give me, I could be 1 win away for fighting for the title. Or if they give me, it just all depends who they give me.
Give you
Maybe I'm 2 fights away for fighting
if
again for the title.
If you pull another Bryce Mitchell, you're a fight away.
Oh, yeah.
Because at that point, you moved the needle. And it was a win you needed, but the way you won was exactly what you needed, not to just become a gatekeeper and fall off. And because you know how it works. And as a fan, if you see the thing, it says, but what the fuck do I know under the idle time? Because I try not to talk about shit I don't know too much about, but there's certain things I think I'm on the right path. A bad loss or 2 more, and with new guys coming up, seems like they start to put people in that journeyman area where they start giving you're the big name that other people can beat. The Tony Fergusons where you get a Tony Ferguson on your record, but it's not the Tony Ferguson that we know of. Yeah. And we don't have time for them to start trying to feed you to some new up-and-coming guys because Yair and Ilya. And Ilya definitely is not a stain. He ended up going on and beating Volk too. In worse fashion, right? It's different.
Oh, yeah.
So he could take out Volk, who's Volk, then it doesn't really, I would say, tarnish for as a man it might, but it doesn't really tarnish. Well, Josh lost to Ilya. Well, Ilya also hasn't lost to anybody.
Yeah. And it's like, and there's no, it's just, I just got to get back.
Both of you guys got a hell of a right hand.
That's how I've had a long layoff. People are like, you've took no damage. like, why aren't you fighting? Because over the last 2.5 years, I've been fighting at a fraction of myself, and so it showed. So now I got that fixed. I feel great. So when I come back, I'm like, it's on. So I don't care who they
Well,
throw
shout out
at
to your
me.
team, your family for keeping your mind in that position. Because some people overdo it. I think they want to stay active, or obviously money also is a thing.
Yeah.
But they do too much, and they put themselves on a backward spiral.
Oh yeah.
Where like again, if you lose to Bryce Mitchell, I have no idea where you're placed next year. You're fighting 11th ranked guys or 14th ranked guys. And then, it's still, I don't care who has more talent, it's still a puncher's chance.
Oh, yeah.
And a 14th ranked guy somehow comes and takes you out, your whole career, your trajectory, flip turns from being a one fight away from the title to probably got to chop that up as not happening.
Or it's not happening.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah.
Well, right now, you're definitely in contention. Obviously, Volk's going to have to get his payback.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see what happens with Yair. T-City and Yair were like, it was a good matchup, but shout out T-City for staying like after that long of a layoff to come back and get a finish.
Yeah.
I was there in Mexico City for that one too. So it was, I was conflicted a little bit because I like Yair a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm a T-City fan.
Yeah.
I don't like LA, but I like T-City. So I think you're right there, and he's moving up, right?
That's what they say. Him and Diego are fighting, right?
Yeah,
this weekend?
155, I think.
I think it's going to be at 45.
45?
And then I think
he's
going to
moving
move up,
ahead.
but who knows?
I think
I don't
they
know
said
why.
something about like he just can't make it at the cut anymore, not healthy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could compete at 155 because of his submission skills.
And he's already, maybe he'll just, he's already cutting quite a bit of weight.
Yeah.
45s. He's still cutting weight to 55. So it's like, he's a bigger guy. Maybe just put on some.
He's a bigger guy. If they ever do the 165 division, it'll clean out some of the 55s in his way.
Yeah.
And again, his submission skills allows him to go to a up weight class without it being too dangerous, because he can wrestle with anybody.
Yeah.
And then the dude has a chin on him. Like, he might take damage, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't get like slept.
No.
So I don't see the 55 being a bad move.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be tough because I'm gonna end up interviewing Diego Lopez sooner or later. I had him scheduled, and then they booked his fight, so that was it. He was supposed to actually come down to San Diego. And as much, I'm gonna be at Iridium all weekend, and I'm going for T-City.
Nice.
So that's gonna be awkward, because if they ask me, it's like shout out to Diego, but I'm going. If I have to pick who I want to win, I'm rooting for T-City. One, I think his career needs it more than Diego's.
Oh,
for Diego, it's a big leap if he takes out T-City, a number 2 or 3 ranked guy. But Diego can survive a loss to T-City. T-City taking that time off, the health issues, and the family thing, getting his family back. This win will like really remind people he's still that guy.
Yeah.
But Diego is that guy too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge step up in competition. Like even the Ige fight, on a 4-hour notice. Like, if that was a 5-round fight, Ige wins.
Yeah,
and it was,
Ige has time and more rounds. Ige wins.
Yeah, and it was such a close fight as it was. But it's like, I was like, when Ige was shooting for a takedown, I was like, what are you doing? And then he'd take him down, and then Diego would get his back. But competitive fight, both guys are super well rounded.
Ige has power in his hands too.
He can crack out of everyone. It's like Ige can. He can crack. So and having fought him and fought a lot of these guys, and I fought at 55s, and it's like he hits pretty hard too. So.
How's your weight cut? Some
tough,
people
man.
some people like say, oh, it was pretty smooth. Some people like, man, that's like, there's no easy weight cut, right? I mean, but it's like takes a toll.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely hard, but man, I work with I feel like the best dietitians in the game. Perfecting athletes, and they were, they were the dietitians for the USA boxing team. They work with T-Bud, Teofimo Lopez. They work with a lot of other champions in the UFC.
So they've been around. This is not their first rodeo, and they know what they're doing.
Oh, they know exactly.
So they make it as easy as it's gonna get, right? If it's hard, and that's still the easiest version of that hard.
Oh, for sure.
So I mean, that works.
What their whole thing is, they do it the safest way possible. Regardless, it's going to be hard. And it's like, I cut quite a bit of weight, but it's we work for 8 to 10 weeks. I'm on a meal plan or a diet plan, and then as we're getting closer, they're checking in almost, you know, more weekly. As we get closer to the fight, it's daily. How's your energy? Like every little like energy level, like weight, this and that, like everything goes
That's
into
perfect.
it. And then I weigh everything out. I measure everything. It's timed before and after
You
practices.
don't look destroyed during your fights.
No,
right?
there's only
Obviously.
one that I just didn't look the best, you know.
So
Yeah, there's some memes out there.
I mean,
that
that's
weight cut,
that's-
but
yeah, but that's a weight cut look.
yeah.
I mean, there's the Conor McGregor meme when he was like,
Yeah, it was like
walking skin.
him, me, and
You.
And Poirier.
Poirier,
Like the
yeah.
one, but it's like they were putting me up to the Call of Duty skeleton guy with the headpiece.
Yeah,
And
I
when I
saw
was
that.
doing the microphone, I thought it was pretty good too. But
Hey,
but
man.
they're the best. They come out and they monitor my weight cut. They cook all my my meals and juices fight week, and then monitor it. And then
you do more old school jogging and steam rooms, or you do the Epsom salt baths and all that too?
So I used to always do like plastics and running and working out and stuff, saunas, and then now we just kind of switch it up. So it just kind of depends, but I don't use plastics anymore. I don't use sweet sweat. Like I have it down to the.
Oh,
to
you
the
have a real
science.
down to a
And
science.
it's like
Because I know
like,
people that have it down to a science, but they still do the sweet sweat and some
I
other
don't
stuff.
use nothing, and it's like it's
to know.
just it's. I thought I knew what I was doing, and then I started working with them 4 years ago, and I was like, should I? I didn't know anything. But,
Yeah.
And then it gets better and better. The longer I work with them, they know my body. They know what works well for me. I track all my numbers. I'm like obsessed with it. So like I can refer back to fights since I was a featherweight, 6.5 weeks before my fight. What I woke up in the morning, what I, went to bed at, how much water I drank that day. So I can always see if I'm ahead or behind.
Well, you really have
schedule.
it down to a science.
No,
Well, I'm going to reach out to you off camera one of these days because I sponsor a fighter named Dead Game out of Arizona. And I know he wanted to go down to 55. He fights at 170, but at 170 he has a disadvantage. Like he's not the tallest, and he's more like a stocky Mexican dude.
Okay.
155 is more people his area,
Yeah.
but I think he went to the PI and they told him like it just wouldn't be healthy for him. But he doesn't have your team. Tell you that. I think if anybody will be able to tell him if he can really do it, it'd be your team. I think you should network with them, let them kind of size up who he is, how he walks around, and if they tell him he can do it, then I think he should do it.
And that's one of the things that the PI, like, I was fighting at 55s on the regional scene. My first 3 fights in the UFC were at 55s. And then I told him I was going to go to 45s, and I did all like the, all the testing, the DEXA scan, like this and this. And from the fat that I had and like the, just bone density, muscle mass, all that, they said this would be one of the tougher weight cuts that they have in the UFC. And that was a while ago, back in 2000. I don't know, I made my debut 17 featherweight, I think, featherweight. And so they didn't want me to do it either, but it's like, and I was doing it on my own for years. And then fast forward to 2020, I met my dietitians, and then they helped me so much.
Well, you
more.
guys have it figured out, and I think that's where, again, it'd be a tough cut for him for sure, no matter what.
Oh yeah, it's hard.
But
as hell.
if he's willing to put himself through the cut and he can still be healthy, again, what the fuck do I know? But in my opinion, from what I've seen, and 55 is way better for him, especially because everybody fights. Why he's a shorter fighter, so he has a less reach, shorter fighter. And if you're fighting 170, then you don't even have a weight advantage.
Yeah.
So now you're almost fighting out of tune. You have like there's zero advantage he goes into a fight with. I was like, you can't like keep going into a fight with no type of advantage. You should be even with somebody or an advantage, but you are at a disadvantage at every fight because you have the frame and stature of a 55er.
Yeah.
But thick Mexican kid, probably dense ass bones.
Yeah.
It's like 170, but he needs a second opinion. That's not the PI. If he can really do it, because for him, it's pretty much now or never.
Yeah.
He's 1-2 in the UFC.
Okay.
We lost his first one to JDM.
Okay.
Which doesn't look as bad now because it's Jack Della hasn't lost to anybody.
Yeah.
He took out Gilbert Burns, so
Burns, yeah.
so he doesn't look as bad when you lose to him, and he was the sacrifice fight anyway.
Yeah.
JDM was like 12-0 at that time, like or 9-0 coming from his other pro debut, and Pete is like 3 or 4-0 or maybe 5-0, but they were different levels.
Yeah.
So if you win, it looks good for him, but for the UFC, it doesn't matter. Whoever wins, it looks good.
Yeah.
But if Jack wins like he's supposed to,
Yeah.
and so doesn't look bad on his career. Second one, he starts as a guy at the Apex. So you look good. You get another one against a guy that was living in the gym and the Rock bought a house for or got an apartment for.
I remember.
He lost to that guy like first round. And that guy hasn't lost since either, so it doesn't look as bad. You still have maybe one more shot.
It just sucks though, because you're not winning those fights.
Yeah, as a man, it still sucks, and your record still sucks. But let's say if they give you a couple more runs at it, if you can go down to 155, that's your, that might be where you find your bread and butter, because he's a guy who I think he's probably a little taller than Jude Ober, but stocky guy like a Jude Ober and him, I think he can lose to Jude, but he's big enough at 155 where he can start actually knocking people out.
And that's what I felt at, at lightweight. It's like no one was I'm the same thing. I'm shorter than everyone, even at featherweight.
Yeah.
But it's like stocky. Like no one was stronger, outpowered me, but they're just big, long, physical people. And so it's like when I lost my first fight ever and in the UFC, I was like, my plan was always to fight at 45s, but I was undefeated. I was 2-0 in the UFC already at lightweight. Why would I do that? So I lost a split decision. Then I'm like, okay, now's the time.
You didn't have any noticeable advantages. You can match power at 155 with some of these guys, but I'm shorter. Like there's no advantage. If I go to 145, I'm at least even or advantage over some people.
I'm on like the bigger end of the spectrum at the featherweight, but they're still taller than me. But it's like these guys are cutting from 200 or high 90s to 155, and even like Tony Ferguson, he'd cut from like 210, 215. Paul Felder is a big guy.
Yeah, some of these guys cut down.
And so I cut, now to featherweight, and now when I'm hitting these guys at featherweight, they just drop, whereas the other guys are just huge guys. I hit them, I'm like, damn,
they're weight bullies.
I hit them hard, and they could take it. They're durable,
Mm-hmm.
But these other guys, I feel like I'm just throwing, and I'm like looking over, and they're down already. I'm like, damn, I like this.
Yeah, that works. That works out better for you. You guys are lucky. Jalen doesn't cut a little bit more. Another 10 pounds. Jalen Turner, 6'3". He'll come in there and wreck some shit.
Yeah.
Because I think he walks around maybe 170. He can cut if he really wanted to at
be a tough one
to 145.
Yeah, I should go to 35s too. I was talking about my dietitians.
You go to 135. It's nice. Everybody's gonna say it's just unfair. It's just unfair at that point.
No, but it's not worth it. I'm joking. I'm like.
So what's next for Josh Emmett in the UFC? Any whispers? Anything you can unveil? Nothing.
Nothing yet. I'm hoping maybe the end of the year.
Trying to see what happens.
Yeah, I want to just kind of see how things are going. I've been in the gym. I've been back to training. I've been doing a lot of like strength and getting right again. And so, like I said, I'm looking forward to my return.
You and Yair for like a kind of a title eliminator.
Oh yeah, I'll fight anyone for a title.
Yeah, I think Yair. Now that you know how he fights, it could be because you can't train for him. I would ask you like, who'd you try to bring in to emulate Yair? I don't see how.
Yeah, it's so hard because like you can bring in people like the best to their abilities and what we think and like try to emulate someone, but you don't know till you get in there. So it's I brought like someone tall, long, Andre, Feely, my buddy and
he has
teammate.
the body size,
So same thing. They
fought
him
the same.
But he's not like explosive like Yair in a certain sense with the kicks and everything. But
I know a guy. His name is Andre. He fights at a Bobby Green's gym. He's fought for like 5 different promotions right now. I think the last one was Karate Combat.
Okay.
He's almost like weird like Bobby, but like in a different. It's like a weird, almost like a drunken master type of thing, but. He's tall, lanky, probably like 5'11". I think he fights at 55.
Okay.
So if you like, I can hit him up if you ever do fight Yair again.
Yeah.
And he's such an unorthodox. I'll send you his page. Unorthodox type fighter. He was in UFC a couple of fights.
Okay.
Unorthodox fighter that I think he probably would emulate Yair closer than anybody else of just the weird shit.
Yeah.
The in and outs and the like athleticism and awkward, unorthodox. Because again, Feely is the body size for sure, but Andre is like very similar body size, but just weird.
It's just different. Yeah, and I had another teammate of mine, Slava Borchas. He fights at 155, and he was a world champion kickboxer. So it's still not the same.
Not
and
the
I
same,
have a guy
but
that's like
quicker on his
but
feet
he's
at
so
least.
good at killer over there.
You gotta have the one
Russia.
that's quicker on those feet type guys.
And then I had a guy that was he comes from a taekwondo background, so he's really good at that in and out stuff, and just like the different wheel kicks and all these switch kicks.
That's what
and
this
all
Andre guy is like. I would say give him a shot if you guys run that back. Because I have a feeling you guys are very at the same part of your career. Well, they got to give somebody another title run, right? Mm-hmm. So I have a feeling you guys might run into each other. You get another like heavy knockout because Max is in the fray now, right?
Yeah.
With Max there, back in the fray. Volk needs his rematch.
Yeah.
There's a couple more fights before you get a title shot, even if you win. Sure. I don't not foresee you and Yair might having to run it back as a title eliminator.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, one of you guys are going to lose and you're going to be kind of push your career back a little bit, and one of you guys are going to win and probably be next up, depending on if the champ does some type of call out or something. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if a champ does a call out, then you guys got to wait longer, like the Sugar Sean and Cheeto thing. You got to wait. Whoever's next, you got to wait because, he's big enough draw to make a call out, and UFC's going to give it to him if it makes sense. So
and I think a lot of those guys just trying to be strategic in a sense that they're trying to like stay at that level.
Yeah, you want to stay champion, get your sponsors in, get your fucking money in.
They can,
And, a fight that's favorable. Like, Usman's not crazy. Masvidal is a huge draw, and it's somebody he can beat. Worst case, if he can't beat him standing up, he knows he's going to take him down.
Yeah.
Beat him standing up anyway, so... he called out Masvidal even after beating him. Called out Masvidal, just I'll fight him twice. Why not? It's the biggest payday Usman was gonna get.
Yeah,
and he's a champ. He fought everybody he wanted him to fight. He gets to call out somebody, but there's a lot of people in the division that were above.
Is calling out Masvidal.
I was saying, what's his name? Usman when he was a champ.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
when he called out Masvidal, and Masvidal fought twice for the championship.
Oh, okay.
And I love Masvidal, but he wasn't nowhere near a championship run or, the Darren Till thing was good for him.
Just such a big draw.
And the Askren thing was big for him, but he shouldn't have been nowhere near a title run. Kobe was still there.
Yeah.
Gilbert, whether he had won or lost, was still there. And 170 is deep at that time. But he's a draw. Champion calling him out.
And I think sometimes that's it's unfortunate, but it's also, like pick your poison. If you're on the... Like you're saying, Masvidal he shouldn't have got a title shot, but he's a big draw. So it's like, that's awesome for him. It's like, it's kind of what sells instead of it being on a merit system. Yeah,
I'm happy for him. He got paid. It's still a business. It's entertainment business. And you got a guy who, for the UFC can predict a lot of things, and they try to script things the best. Well, like, not script, more schedule things and work. Nobody saw Masvidal's draw coming whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it was for the UFC, you wake up in the morning and there's this guy who's probably the fourth biggest draw in the UFC. And it was Conor, Nate.
Yeah.
Well, Conor, John Jones, Nate.
Yeah.
Masvidal, Brandon Moreno.
Yeah.
And Nunes.
Yeah.
Like, we're like undeniable. Crowd reaction when they walk out is crazy.
Yeah.
And the fact that Masvidal jumped in there that fast was like crazy.
I think just taking those opportunities, getting those big knockouts, and then it's like, it's also once you win over the fans, then the UFC can't like really deny you,
That's
because
Nate Diaz.
And that's what, Nate. It's like it doesn't matter if he wins, if he just has a fight and him just being him and doing his thing. No matter what, his stock rises. Every single time.
Him almost knocking out Leon Edwards. Was just like, that's all we needed, just enough to give him something.
And you'll still never like you always see it still like him cracking him and hurting him.
That whole fight, he lost 4.5 rounds to Leon Edwards, and the only replay of the entire fight is Nate's to Leon. Yeah. He's the fucking draw.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's cool to see that too. Because these guys maybe they weren't making the most money, and then just the opportunities that came up with the Conor fight. Then he went out there and did it and won, and then it's just
he won.
It's cool.
That
was
cool
to see. Yeah,
him winning, him being Nick's little brother, and Nick is the crazy guy with the GSP fights. The Diaz brothers bring out they bring out a crowd.
Yeah.
I didn't know Brandon Moreno was such a big draw.
I didn't know that either. You're saying he's one
until
of the top
I saw him. I mean, it makes sense when you think about how big this Hispanic culture is. Mm-hmm. But when he fought in Arizona to win the championship, I hadn't seen him fight a time or two. Wasn't like overly watched him. I just knew he was a TJ guy. I'm from San Ysidro, so Tijuana. When he came out, I've never seen a crowd reaction like that wasn't Nate Diaz or Conor McGregor.
Wow.
And I've been to a lot of fights. I've never seen a crowd reaction.
Damn.
And I was with him. I was with Tim, and I was like, fuck. I was like, I was trying to tell myself, where did this come from?
Wow.
I was like, I felt like everybody knew something I didn't know. Because Davison Figueroa was the guy.
Yeah.
And Brandon's the guy who keeps fighting Davison. The fucking. And then when he won,
Insane.
I've never. Maybe if Conor would have won, I would have heard it. But the time I went to a Conor fight, he lost. I've never heard a reaction louder than when Brandon won his championship. Not even when John Jones beat Cyril Gane.
Really? Wow.
And I go to a Brandon Moreno fight. Anywhere where
Do you think it was just
Mexicans?
Okay, yeah, because it was
Well,
more
so I've seen him fight in
Arizona.
Vegas, same
Okay,
thing. But
same.
Arizona,
Yeah.
Vegas is a lot of Hispanics.
Yeah.
But Arizona, Vegas, 100% would be the biggest crowd reaction you see. That's not these top names.
Wow.
And I wouldn't have put him
So
on it either.
I would have never
I-
thought that either.
Man,
Wow.
like I said, you're not crazy because
cool.
I didn't
Good for
either.
him.
Again, you've been a fighter. I just been to a few fights, and so I'm in the crowd. I'm really, I'm part of the screaming, and I've never seen it. I've never seen it outside of Nate Diaz. Nick Diaz got a pretty good reaction, but he's not a real active fighter like that. So Nate, Conor is Conor. The fog and the fucking thing. It's as soon as he does a money walk, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So for you, when you get these, are you like when you guys do the walkouts? Are you like overly focused? Are you really paying attention to who's in the crowd? Are you like loose? Everybody has different things. Some people like do the run in. Some people are like overly focused. Some people are just like, hey man, I'm happy to get it done. What's your thing?
Yeah, no, it's I was just talking to someone on the flight here. No, I'm not like I'm very coachable. So it's like I'm aware of what's going on. So like I can hear some of my old wrestling coaches that still come to my fights. I can hear their voice in the crowd. I can hear stuff that my current coaches are saying, and they're saying certain things that maybe I know what they're trying to do. Like whether during during the pandemic and COVID, when I fought, I think it was the second one or the third one where there was no fans in the Apex. It was silent. It was an empty, cold hangar.
Yeah.
And where even like the commentators were separated. And they're saying stuff to try to manipulate the judges. And they're saying some stuff that I think I'm like, why would he say that? And I think it's kind of funny. Like I'm thinking in my head, oh, that's a good one. And I'm like, and then I'm talking to my opponent and his coach is saying shit to manipulate him. But other than that, like I'm very calm and collected and composed. And I just have to, I think if I put too much pressure on myself in the moment, maybe it won't turn out that great. So I always try to go, the more relaxed I am, it's a fight. I know I'm going to get hit. But I feel like my mentality is there's no one that's going to just manhandle me, throw me around the ring. Like if you get caught in something, it is what it is. But I'm not going to I don't care who the hell they are. What
you
weight class,
train
they're not
hard
gonna
enough.
beat me up,
Yeah.
Like they're not just going to
You're not gonna walk in there and be like, what the fuck just happened?
yeah, just make it look easy, put me down and just
So to play
manhandle
devil's
me.
advocate, Ilya put some work on you. So do you think that one threw you off, or was it? Now we're not gonna take away from him, right, what he did, but do you think that was your fight to lose and you lost it, or you think he just had your number?
No, I think it's just like what I was going through over the last 2.5 years. It's like I fought the guy at nothing, but it was his night,
Yeah.
So that's the fight I went back really bad.
Yeah.
It's but I still don't agree with the judges. Like you're talking about Bobby Green, him and Jamal were there, cage side, and they're like, after the fight, I didn't think you lost the first round like that. I didn't think you lost the second round. And their fighters, I thought they was close, competitive.
Yeah. As a fighter, when if other fighters have been in there tell you, because fans can say one thing, we can be biased. I seen it. I can agree with him. I thought it was really close, and obviously he got the win, but I don't think it was as one-sided as they made
the
it
judges,
seem.
the scorecards came out to be, and that's what I'm not saying I won. He clearly won.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a lot closer on the scorecards. I thought there were some rounds that I actually won, and then everything.
Was Mike Bell one of those judges?
I don't even know.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know anything about this guy, Mike Bell. But if you some of the
I'll go look,
craziest,
though,
some of the craziest scorecards I've ever seen, that guy's name is always fucking involved.
All right.
And I don't say always, but I feel like every time I fucking hear some crazy shit, and Judge Mike is like 30-27, 30-27, 28-28. I'm like, and it's Mike Bell. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy watching? I was like, or just teach me something more, maybe, because again, what the fuck do I know?
No.
But I'm like, it's all when there's like this one when Mike Bell's judging, he's always the outlier from the other three.
Yeah.
If there's like unanimous, Mike Bell's never unanimous. If it's 30-27, he has 29-28. If it's 29-28, he has it as a draw. I just feel, and again, it's not everyone, but it's too many times I've seen it.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, that's why, the fact that I know his name means I've clocked that it's the same dude a couple times. And if I'm clocking that at home, I always wonder, do you guys fighters pay attention to it, or you just like leave these fucking judges alone, and just kind of just try to not put it in their hands?
I think it's just so tough. Like, but it is like, yeah, he won clearly. It's I just thought it was closer than it was, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. No one gives a shit, you know.
Yeah.
But as far as the judging go, I think that, I don't know. I wish there was some type of curriculum, or there's some like playbook, like read this. This is how you score it, because too many times there's fights where the guy's dominating in 4.5 minutes, and then someone gets a takedown and lands some crazy flurry, and they steal the round. I'm like, 30 seconds left, and then you're like, oh, 10-9.
Crowd reaction.
Like what? Yeah, it's like that's the stuff that it's frustrating, because there's no. There is no like really like real rules or nothing laid out. Like, and sometimes I wish there was live scoring. Like, I think it would be interesting, at least if you know that you're sitting in the corner in the second round, you look and you're like, shit, he won the first round, I won the second. I'm going to do everything in my power to go out there. Both of you guys are going to do it.
And
it's not going to be
your coaches
boring.
are trying the best they can to be like, yo, you need to finish this round.
Yeah.
And I've seen sometimes, I know you've seen it when you're watching, where from like TV, and the coach is like telling him, oh, you're fine. I think you're up this round. And we're all like, yeah, man, you shouldn't tell him that.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to go in there and get the finish, or he might
you need
lose.
to finish. Yeah.
So you've ever had those situations where you were told like you should be good, and then you go back and watch it, and like, nah, I needed to, or you just knew, nah, I need to fucking finish.
I don't know, but it is hard, because sometimes it's when I'm fighting and I'm not really thinking about all the punches I'm landing, you know. I just remember, shit, I got hit, fuck, I lost. And then I met back there, I'm like, shit, how'd that round go? They're like, you won that round. I'm thinking, I just remembering all the times I got punched. So I don't know, I've gone through that, but it's nobody knows, and you don't know what this person over here is looking at, and it's like they haven't done a combat sport, they haven't done martial arts.
How bad it's getting these days, you really can never predict it.
No, you can't.
These days, you really would think you had all 3 rounds, and I've seen fights where the striking difference is like 50 one way, and the guy lost the round.
Yeah.
And like you said, because at the end of the round, the guy got a takedown, 1 minute, didn't even do damage, but control time,
finished,
took the round when the other guy like got beat up, but the takedown happened at the right time, or it was a really good takedown.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you watched the last Grasso and Shevchenko fight.
Mm-hmm.
They had Grasso at a draw in the last round. They're like, I think it was Mike Bell. Almost like she had a good submission attempt, and it didn't go through. And so even though she got beat up really bad that round, they had the round as a draw because they had it as a 10-8 round, excuse me. They gave one judge gave Grasso a 10-8 round because of the almost submission. Wow. Nothing, she didn't do any damage, probably less than 5 strikes. She just had a really good submission attempt that almost tapped her out. But a 10-8 round was like, no other judge saw it at 10-8.
There should be 10-9.
And based on the rule, if you're going to give it 10-8, the same judge, the second round, Shevchenko had Grasso almost in a full submission position. You didn't and beat her up. Hit her like 20, 30 times, took her down twice, and got her almost to tap. And you made that a 10-9 round.
Yeah.
So based on it, if you're going to make that your reasoning,
across the board,
then it should be across the board, and which means because it became a draw, and I'm going to interview Grasso probably right after a fight. She said, all the same, whether it's to her face or to whoever, she lost that fight.
I thought, because I was watching that too, and I did think Shevchenko
she did great,
won. You know,
but she lost.
Great fight, and then
she
it went
lost.
to a draw, and then it's just.
And it went to a draw because one judge is 10-8. One judge is 10-8, made it a draw. And it's like very convenient coincidence that your judging will be the thing that makes her not lose her belt. Like if it was across the board or something, but when you did something egregious that nobody else in fighting agreed with, it was a 10-8. Dana didn't agree with it. Obviously, Grosso, I think, is probably the only person that agree with it.
Yeah, I'll take it though. You know.
Yeah, if I'm on the side of it,
Yeah.
I'll take it. But I would for sure, as a person, I would probably have to run that back, or I'd avoid that person for the rest of my career and just say out loud when I retire, yeah, I didn't want no smoke, I lost the fight.
Yeah,
But you'll never hear it from me until then.
Yeah.
But because you still got to feed your family and all this shit. So fuck it, you want to give me a dub, I'll take the dub.
Yeah.
Draw is a dub if you're the champion. Right?
Yeah,
I get
for
to wear the
sure.
belt a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I get more sponsorship. I get more opportunities. Thank you to Mike Bell or whoever it was.
Yeah.
I wish I could shoot you a check real quick, but I can't because then it'll be
Right.
bribery. But if I ever see you, man, you're good. You're good to go. If I'm in Mexico, hey, you good in this city. Promise you. But that was a tough one. So I think this one is the one,
Yeah,
and I think it's bad for Shevchenko because she's Shevchenko. She's great, but Grosso's catching up. The first fight, Grosso was getting beat up, caught the submission.
Yeah.
Second fight was a lot closer,
Yeah.
and then almost caught a submission. 3 times his charm. It seems like she's learning the bullets. She's getting the bullets number.
Yeah.
So, and the bullet says she knows she has to, she can't go to decision. It's noche night for Mexicans. If she goes to decision, it's over.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter at this point. If what she did last time wasn't enough to win, then there's not going to be anything she can do.
Yeah. That's true.
So,
and that's what sometimes it's like with fighting or anything. It's like styles make fights, and it's like this may not be the best matchup for Shevchenko. You know what I mean? Like it may not be the best matchup where she could dominate someone that Grosso can't beat. You know, it's a weird dynamic.
Styles
how,
make fights.
How things work that way.
Style makes fights.
It's in a lot of sports and
I
especially
think
combat sports.
that goes like Habib and Tony, young Tony.
Yeah.
Styles make fights. As good as Habib was,
Yeah. Who knows?
I think Tony would have been the favorite in those fights. The original when they had it scheduled 3 times. I think the first 1 or 2, Tony would have been the favorite. Wow. And you have to think, when Habib has never lost, he only lost 1 round in his career. But I don't see Habib. Tony was a hell of a grappler at that time too. He was young, and you're not knocking him out. It's Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
And he's such an unorthodox fighter. Who knows if Habib would have been able to take him out? I don't think he would have been able to dominate him the same way he dominated. Or maybe he would have, right? But that Styles make fights, I think that would have been such an interesting part of Habib's career if they would have made that happen, to see what Tony was able to get done.
Yeah, that's true.
Question for you, and try to be honest. Don't try to be biased. UFC 300, Gaethje, Holloway. Who'd you have?
Gaethje. Like
I didn't. I had Holloway the entire time, and I didn't see. And see, I'm not a fighter, so I used to be surprised when fighters would be like, "I have Gaethje," and I just like, I don't see what you guys see based on what I've watched. I don't see Gaethje winning without him knocking out Holloway.
Yeah.
He was never going to outpoint Holloway. Nobody outpoints Holloway. What Volk did a few times is an anomaly.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. So explain to me what you saw.
I just thought, obviously, Holloway's a big islander anyways and cuts a lot of weight. So I just thought, like, I don't know, Gaethje just comes in, he's just violent. I thought he was going to try to take away his legs with those, those violent kicks. And so
Those
maybe
fucking Trevor Whitman kicks.
Yeah, maybe it would slow down, like, Holloway's movement, because I knew he was going to he has cardio for days, and he just constantly, the volume he throws is insane. But I did think maybe Gaethje would land some powerful shot, but I was like, if it does go
once he broke his nose,
but once it goes to the scorecards, I'm like, Holloway wins, and if it's
a finish,
if it's Gaethje, so that's where it's so
See,
hard.
I can agree with that. I said it over and over again. I said, if it's a finish, if somebody told me the fight ended in a finish, I'm gonna instantly in my head go,
Gaethje.
oh shit, Gaethje finally finished Max, huh?
Yeah,
Gaethje got it done. And if it ever goes to scorecards, I didn't see any version of this earth where Gaethje was gonna, he's gonna swing for the fence, he's gonna do his thing.
Yeah.
But Max Holloway is one of the best strikers in the UFC. I didn't see any version of Gaethje being able to outstrike.
No, and I'm
like
that.
Michael Chandler was able to still match strikes with Gaethje, and Poirier can match strikes with Gaethje. Max Holloway would tip up all these guys. Doesn't mean he'll win, but he'll tip them up. He'll outpoint you all day long.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I see Holloway winning unless he gets slept, and he's never been slept. So I didn't see how that would. He's either going to get slept for the first time in his life, only because he's going up in weight class.
Yeah.
And even then, I was like, you both know he cuts. He's Holloway. He's walking around at 180.
They're probably the same weight.
Yeah, he's 170, 180.
Gaethje,
He's a chunky Hawaiian. I was like, so he's not like some guy who's really going some crazy. That 10 pounds for him isn't really a 10-pound big jump. I was like, I don't see him losing at all. I had different parlays, and it'll switch up a bunch of times. I didn't switch up Jalen's, and I don't think I ever switched up. No, I did switch up Holloway's just in case.
Yeah, you got caught or something.
I won money on that. I was never worried about Max Holloway not winning if it goes to decision.
Yeah.
Obviously, that one last second knockout is one thing.
And I think that was just because they were both exhausted.
Yeah, they were going crazy.
And he's like, yeah.
And again, once he broke his nose, that kick, that also changed the whole fight.
Yeah.
Gaethje just couldn't, he's
just surviving.
At that point, you fucking.
But he was still
he's fucking
swinging
Gaethje.
for the fences.
He's fucking Gaethje,
entertaining, and that's why he's the highlight.
Human fucking highlight reel.
That was definitely that was an epic fight for sure. And
I'm not gonna lie, they stole Bobby Green's $50,000 bonus. I don't think people. Bobby wasn't so low on the card. He did to Jim Miller the same thing Max Holloway did to Gaethje.
Oh wow.
He beat the shit. Go watch Bobby's fight again. You can go highlights. He beat the shit out of Jim Miller.
Yeah.
He left him like bloodied, altered, and then at the end of the fight, even though Bobby had clearly won 30-27 rounds, pointed at the center and gave Jim Miller a chance to win, and went and swung for the fences with Jim. Jim didn't really engage, but Bobby attempted and pointed. But the problem was the second fight of the night or third fight of the night, and it was a great fight.
Yeah.
The problem is fucking Gaethje and them.
Yeah. Showstopper.
Showstopper, boy.
Yeah.
And I told Bobby, I was like, that sucks. I told Bobby to do I texted him to shout out for the BMF. He thought it was like it would be premature, like wouldn't be respected for him to call out a title shot. And I was like, it's not a title shot, man. It's a BMF shot. For based on what the BMF stands for, not everybody qualifies for a BMF shot. I was like, you and Max Holloway, if he's going to be at 55, both two guys who fight with their hands down, both guys that have a high strike range, both guys who are very fast, just striking, and both of you guys, none of you guys are going to take each other down.
Yeah.
That's a BMF fight if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you can't. I was like, you wouldn't go for a gold no time soon. I was like, they'd give Patty a fucking BMF fight if need be.
Yeah.
I was like, Michael Chandler will get a BMF fight if need be. I was like, and Michael Chandler has a losing record. And I was like, BMF, the original BMF was like these gangsters. I was like, how many other people qualify for a BMF? You got to be a fucking striker, crazy striker, that they know the fight's not going to the ground, or you got to be some type of thug. And I was like, Bob, you fit the mold. Yeah, you fit both molds. I was like, and even if you didn't get it, I was like, going on the mic and calling out, hey, Max, if you win BMF, I want you next.
Yeah.
Two men with your hands down. We can meet in the center and go at it from the beginning of the fight.
Yeah.
Bobby makes that call out.
Yeah,
At UFC 300, let the internet take over. At that point, internet's gonna say no, or they're gonna say yes.
Yeah.
But people, as they start thinking about it, it wouldn't have been a crazy idea. Two guys that fight with their hands down.
That fight, yeah.
Yeah, Bobby's about 5'9", 5'10". Him and Max are like an inch difference. Wingspan is like an inch different. They're gonna both have their hands down and swing for the fences. They're the only two people that would meet in the center octagon from the actual start of the fight.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have to be at the end. And if they got to a decision, Bobby and Max, like going at it like that.
Yeah.
And Bobby can possibly be one of the few people that might outpoint Max Holloway. I don't think he does, but he can compete when it comes to striking. He is just as fast and unorthodox to hit.
Yeah.
So, but he didn't do it. He did more of a traditional one. I told him it was a wasted opportunity. You ever thought about, after what you did to Bryce Mitchell, you're a BMF candidate now, man? People see you as one of the baddest men out there.
Yeah, no. I think it's also like, I don't know, the UFC puts these people in this, I'm not
positioned.
I'm not in the cool kids group or something, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, I've seen people do like BMF rankings and stuff, and I've been in those rankings.
You win your next one by knockout and use a cuss word in your fucking post-fight interview, you'll be in there. I was like, you can text Bryce ahead of time and be like, yo, I'm gonna like say some shit with your name in it, but it's all for entertainment. And you just start telling people who wants the Bryce Mitchell treatment.
Yeah.
I got the Bryce Mitchell special for you motherfuckers. You say that on camera, you'll start to be qualified. again, unfortunately, you have to go that route, but you'll get yourself in that what Kobe Covington did without going as crazy as him.
Yeah.
But you start using shit like that, the Bryce Mitchell treatment, who fucking I'm dropping more napalm than Vietnam, what y'all need. You start saying shit like that and let the internet take over.
Yeah.
Those quotable moments that like where you're talking shit, but you're actually not like being, an asshole.
Yeah, overboard. Yeah.
So especially if you say it before the fight, whatever your next fight is, and you tell whoever your opponent is, well, I'm going to give you the fucking Bryce Mitchell treatment. And imagine you go out there and deliver.
Yeah.
And you go out and be like, this is, I call this Michael. And and it's because Michael in the Bible is God's right-hand man. And you're like, I'm hitting you. This is God's right hand. Or you just talk some shit. Just cuss while also saying that you sleep people. The crowd reaction to it is going to go crazy. Make sure you do put your hand up or something and let people use that picture as like the Thanos type thing. If you keep your hand here and have a team just kind of make that into like an Avengers thing, you'll be in the cool kids club.
All right.
That's one thing I do is train and I do marketing. And I promise you, call out the right statement, and it'll be a viral moment, and you'll be considered not just a badass because of his right hand. It's like, oh, that's a guy you don't want to see at a bar. And like that's the thing. Right now, you come off as obviously nobody wants to fight you, but you'll never get in a fight. But this is a violent sport, right? So you talk some shit. Some shit because I can see you like. Let's say something happens where the gold is like a year and a half away because Volk has to get his rematch. Volk wins. And the problem is, if he wins, then what? Then he has to fight somebody that won't be. Even if you win, it won't be you. And that's 2-3 fights away. That's a year and a half away.
Yeah.
The BMF is up for grabs. you and Holloway for a BMF is doable, or whoever takes it, right? If Patty gets up the rankings and he's a BMF title fighter, then you go up for a BMF fight, right?
Yeah.
You can go up to 155.
55
But for a BMF, why not? And then go back to 145 for your career.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think the BMF is only like 6 fighters that can really contend for it, that makes sense to the crowd. I think you're on the precipice of being one of those because how violent you are. Now we just got to get the crowd behind, like, you're a bad motherfucker. The Bryce Mitchell thing already made you, and the crazy thing, you've been knocking people out so long, but I think it's the iconic picture. Your fucking muscles look like Captain America, the tattoos.
And it's like, it's crazy that that's really the only pay-per-view card that, like, I've been on pay-per-view cards, but I was on like the prelims or undercard, and it's like, that's the only pay-per-view card that
you made the fucking most out of it.
And it like saved the show because people are like, damn, if you weren't on that card, like that whole card was kind of not the most entertaining.
I was there. I don't know if you remember. I saw you were walking out.
Okay.
I'll put it on like in the background and editing.
Okay.
As you're walking, celebrating back.
Okay. Oh yeah.
You recognized me, and I was on the edge, and I was like, because I was hyped for that because you needed a win, and you needed that type of win.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing you previous to that at one of the fucking events, UFC event. I'm not gonna lie, you were the way you didn't look into life.
Yeah.
Like just talking to you, I was like, hey, the fight, whatever, and you just like halfway checked out.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the way you were walking around as a man.
Yeah.
And it seemed different than the first time I met you. I first met you, it was all smiles. This one, it was kind of like you're doing the crowd interaction, but you look like you'd rather be anywhere but there. And again, what the fuck do I know? But the feel of the first time I met you from that, and only difference was you're coming off of 2 losses. And I think you're only like a month off of the Topuria loss, maybe even less than that.
Yeah.
So
it was a few weeks after that.
It was probably a few weeks after.
Yeah.
So, I tried not to bother you too much. You didn't look like your happy self.
Yeah.
And then getting the Bryce Mitchell fight and doing what you did, it was good to see you all smiles, all happy. And I was like, you needed it. Like, shout out to Bryce, but you needed that.
Yeah.
You 100% needed that. And I love to have sport. He was a good sportsman. He thanked you.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, you could have killed me if you hit me more.
Yeah.
So you ever think about that? Have you ever like gone overboard where obviously you keep going to the ref pulls you off, but you ever like hesitated because you're like, fuck, I don't want to hurt this person, and it costs you something? Or have you ever gone too much and like after the fact you're like, fuck, I might have like hurt this guy?
The one that I learned a lot from, not when I fought Stevens. you know, just because like I learned real quick after that and all the shit I went through with like the recovery and things like and vertigo, I wasn't going to let that happen again because I dropped him bad in the first round. And then in my mind, I was thinking, shit, it's a 5-round fight. We'll finish him in the second round. Let's just kind of coast.
Yeah.
And I had a minute left. I should have pounced on him, what he did to me in the second round. And that cost me the fight. That cost me, you know, a lot of shit physically too and emotionally. But then I also think, but I've been also doing these knockouts like Lamas, you know, knockout. I feel like it's so much sweeter with a, you know, a walk-off KO. And I clearly know they're out, and I'm very aware. I'm not like one of those guys that blacks out and you'll see red. Like I hit him and I know that that's it. It's like I always equate it to if you play baseball or golf and you just swing lightly
that
and
crack,
it's perfect, you know it's gone.
You know.
And I can feel that when I'm loading up and throwing as hard as I can. It's like maybe it hurts them, but it's like I know it's not the one that puts them away. But when I make the connection to their face and I can feel it in my knuckles through the glove,
you guys
and it's just like I just literally hit the
it's
button.
pretty much
I know they're out, and I turn and they're just falling down. I'm not going to follow up because I know they're clearly out and the ref is. So I walk towards them knowing the ref's going to do it, but I'm not going to follow up on them because they're seriously, they're out and they could be fucked up bad for the rest of their career or life or whatever it may be. And I've been on the other end of that, you know. But there is at the end of the day, it's like, I'm picking me every time. So if I need to do that, so be it. That's why people are buying the pay-per-views. That's why people are in the seats. It's
that's
like,
what the ref's job's for too.
Yeah, even the Bryce Mitchell knockout, like everyone's saying that's the most violent knockout they've ever seen in their life, let alone the history of the UFC. My next fight, I'm going to try to top that. You know?
So your next fight, you're going to give him the Bryce Mitchell treatment. That's what we're going to start that until we recoin something else. And you can just text Bryce and let him know, like, hey, it's no personal.
Yeah, it's just like nothing against him. He's a good dude, you know. He's a good dude. Like he's trying to do that shit to me or pop my head off in a submission or something, you know.
He would have did it to you. He would go in his next media. He wouldn't be malicious about it. He'd be like, you saw what I did to your last guy. Yeah. Well, hey,
that's just the way it is. So
I still got more. I still got, you know. He's like, this one was Bryce Mitchell. This one's for the rest of you motherfuckers. Right. So start making memes. You ever seen what's it? I think Walking Tall with The Rock. I can't think of it. It's the guy who plays Stifler.
Okay.
He's like, a little thunder and a little lightning. You know, you can start making like little shits. Again, we talked about earlier, social media is everything.
Yeah.
And you have all the talent in the world to be way bigger draw than where you're at. And again, the way you fucking sleep people and how you're known for your right hand, you should be way more of a draw than you are, but you're a graceful human being. And that's the problem. Sometimes you gotta be a piece of shit to move the needle. You don't got to, but you can find a realm amongst giving people that piece of shit dopamine that they need. You know, the dopamine moving statements without actually losing who you are as a human. Yeah. Like I think Kobe Covington has gone too far. I know it was probably all a game and shit, but wives and kids, now you're just an actual piece of shit. Yeah. Right. And
because at the end of the day, it's like I'm gonna be me after I'm done fighting. I'm not gonna be this character that. It's not me. I didn't go to fucking acting
when we're
school.
going,
like
you know,
I can fight, but even fans, like when I'm on a card, like I can be a main event at a big stadium. I'll still sell out the arena.
Yeah.
I'll still put seats in there. Like people are still going to watch the fights regardless. So I feel like I'm a draw, but it's just different. You know, it's just different.
You're a draw. You being on the card brings me out. Right. It's one of the ones like, okay, cool. Josh is on the card. Like so. And it doesn't matter with Drew Dober. I like watching Drew Dober fight. Yeah. Doesn't matter where they put him on the card.
Yeah.
Right? Drew Dober is part of the reason why people are watching the card.
Yeah.
They put Drew Dober on this Noche card. It'll make the card completely better. He's not Mexican at all, and yet even the Mexican fans would be happy he's on the card. Yeah. If you were on the card, not Mexican at all, you got the whole Irish thing going. You're complete opposite right now. Doesn't matter. The entire card would be better. Pay-per-views would sell more just because you were added to the card in whatever position. So yeah, you're definitely a draw. I think you're like, again, on the precipice of like really breaking out because anybody that can do what you can do with your right hand. And obviously you have so much other skills, so I don't want to short you for all your other skills, but your right hand is a problem. Yeah. Crazy thing is, wait till you hit somebody when you sleep somebody next with the left, then you're just gonna look at it and look at one and be like, twins.
I need some head kick knockouts. you
Yeah.
know? Some knees, because
He's-
it's like I'm dropping people with jabs. Like my boxing coach is like, you got a shotgun for a jab. Like I'm knocking Lamas out, left
Yeah.
hooks, like overhands. I've done a few times. Like it's like I can do it
How's
all.
your front
but-
kick?
Hey, I know, right? Maybe I'll work on that. you
That
know?
front kick. You guys are like so short in a way where now you're in a division where similar heights. Obviously,
Yeah.
Yair is a tough opponent.
Yeah.
But I've seen some fights where if you go watch some of your fights where they're kind of leaning a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, trying to,
Yeah,
bait you
draw that-
in.
yeah, draw something out.
Or the end of the fight, they're like tired.
Yeah.
Like a T City.
Yeah.
He, when he gets tired, he has like a little lean to him.
Uh-huh.
A lean to you, tired.
Yeah.
And especially from a guy with a right hand, nobody's
Yeah.
gonna put you
Throw that
on
up the
leaning
middle.
back and front kick.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna put you on that. I'm not saying it's gonna land, but even if you were to whiff that,
Yeah.
you'll have an advantage now because they're gonna like,
At
oh
least
shit.
Think about it. Yeah.
And if Josh Emmett front kicks somebody and sleeps him,
Yeah.
it's gonna break the internet.
Yeah.
It's gonna break the fucking internet. You'll get whatever fucking fight you want after that because it'll be such a. Because I mean, how many front kicks do we really know in history?
Yeah.
And it's not again, but how many people throw it? I don't see people throw front kicks again. What the fuck do I know? I'm just saying, if you want some like, I need some type of spectacular something. There's nothing more spectacular than a front kick.
Yeah.
Cheeto
I
has
think-
one.
Okay, yeah.
Michael Chandler has one.
Those are the only
Anderson
two
Silva
I think.
has one. And I want to say Miracle has one, but he doesn't. Miracle is just fucking
The head kick.
yeah, head kick guy in
Gonzaga.
general.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's a 3, maybe 4 that I know of a front kick. And each one of those front kicks are that person's number one highlight.
Who'd Anderson hit with the? Was it James Irvin with the front kick or?
Fuck, that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can be my Jamie from
Because like the two I think of are obviously Cheeto and Edgar, and then of course Chandler and.
Chandler and
Ferguson, but I'm
Ferguson. And Chandler got lucky with that because he was losing.
Oh yeah, he was losing that fight.
He got his ass whipped that first round.
bad. Yeah.
And which means I think he would have lost the entire fight. But
I do too.
And
But he
we're saying
landed
it's
that.
not just that he would have won by knockout with his right hand.
Yeah.
It would have been a good knockout of Ferguson. He would have won by decision. It would have been a good fight. But
Yeah.
he won by a fucking front kick. And it's why it was special.
Yeah.
Somebody like you win from a head kick or a front kick.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody right around that range, wherever you can
Yeah.
reach to, even if you were to just drop them and then ground and pound them,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
matter. It'd be, you got it? It was
Oh,
against
it's
Belfort.
Belfort.
Jesus
Okay, wow.
Christ, that's even more of a front kick.
Yeah. Or early on, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
early on, yeah. I
Vito
remember that
fucking
now that
Belfort.
You say that, yeah.
The legend.
Yeah.
So front kick from a Josh Emmett, it's gonna be known again. The Bryce Mitchell right now will be known as your
Yeah.
knockout of your career. You get a front kick. The fact that you have 2, like Anderson has a few, but we really know like the one Anderson knockout, like is the front kick. Cheeto, Dominic Cruz was the next fight. Yet it's not what we talk about.
Yeah.
Like it's one of them, but it's not like it wouldn't be a Bryce Mitchell and a front kick.
Yeah.
And I think there's some people right in your height range that if you guys go that third round, you tell yourself, especially if you know you're winning, and let's say they're a wrestler type that's going to try to fucking shoot on you anyway. Especially third round, they're going to shoot because they don't got the energy and nobody wants to stand up with you anyway. You have the perfect position. People don't want to stand up with you if you're winning by the third round. Nobody's gonna. It's because they try to stand up with you and it didn't work out. So we know what they're gonna do in the last round. They're gonna fucking shoot for their life of them, or they're gonna get slept. And that person is gonna be showing some type of, lean or some version where I think it's gonna be there. Third rounds, people's hands are down a lot more.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not a fighter. I just always think to myself, like, why don't people throw it? And it's like maybe because if you throw it and they take you down or whatever. But if you're at that point where you've already won, like they take you down, it's not going to change the outcome of the fight.
Yeah.
If worst case you miss and they grab your leg,
Yeah.
it wouldn't change the outcome of the fight unless somehow you let them like pummel you. Which again, we talked about it.
Yeah.
I don't see it. One, I don't think you're too strong to be held down by almost anybody at 145 who can really keep you down there. I don't see it. You throw a front kick, You throw it and you miss. I think you'll still laugh to yourself just for the fact that you threw it. And I think your coaches, everybody will laugh and just be like,
what the
the
fuck's he
commentators
doing?
would be like, did he just throw a fucking front kick? And it'll just be a moment. And if you land it, again, you think Chandler knew he was going to really sleep him, get the highlight, have them do the replay, show Ferguson's face, 80 years age. He didn't think of all that.
Yeah.
He threw some shit
Dude,
because it was there.
It's insane with those front kicks, though. Like when they slow it down and like it's Ferguson's face and Edgar's face.
Yeah,
what
they were
the
like
hell
80 years
is
older.
that? Like, yeah, it's
Their face got vibrated so fucking hard. The
wild.
science behind it must be nuts.
Can they not do that with like punches to the face?
I mean,
They have to.
I
I'm
guess
like-
if you're coming up this way, probably. But these front kicks are hitting them like here.
Dude, it's so weird. It looks like they had a stroke or
Yeah.
something. I'm like,
It looks AI'd and
it
like
looks
cartoon.
crazy. Yeah, I'm like,
I don't know. See, you're a little older than me, but you know the movie Spy Kids. I don't know if you ever watched Spy Kids.
Spy Kids.
Yeah, the first ever Spy Kids. Antonio Banderas was in a movie called Spy Kids, and there's a guy who used to make these little clay characters and shit.
Okay.
And they look like they're like somebody made some like clay character of fucking Ferguson's face. When I
that's
first
what
saw
it
it, I
looks
thought it was
like,
like a meme.
Yeah, I thought it was fake. I
Yeah.
didn't even know, and then I was like, no,
And they're
that's
like,
a
that was real
photo.
fucking photo. I was like, oh my
So I
God.
thought the same thing, but I wasn't thinking about Spy
Chandler
Kids.
didn't do anything special more than what you can do or anybody else. He just threw it.
Yeah.
Anderson threw the kick.
Yeah.
He didn't throw it all fight. He threw
Yeah.
a front kick because it was there to throw.
Yeah.
Your hands were kind of down. You're a little bit leaning. Fuck it. I'm going to throw it.
Yeah.
If I miss, it's like missing all the rest of my shit.
Yeah. Missed
And
jab.
yeah, like, but you connect a kick to the face.
Yeah.
The majority of times, unless you're Cheeto, you're probably going to sleep. Cheeto took that knee. I don't understand how he took that knee.
Yeah.
But most people are probably going to sleep or they're dropping, and it's going to be a highlight reel situation. You're obviously that kick can win you. Let's say I don't know what you're getting paid right now for fights. You don't got to dispose it, but let's say if you're $250,000 for a fight, well, you just made an extra $300,000 because you're getting a $50,000 bonus for sure, and then you got your show money, but now your win money.
Yeah.
Right. You got your win money. So if you're making 100 for a fight, 50 to show, 50 to win. Well, you just gave yourself an extra $130,000 because the front kick wins fight of the night no matter what happens.
Oh yeah.
And then you're going to be on the next card you want to be on. Pick one. They have to put you on the card. That highlight is going to be too good. And you definitely buy yourself, even if you take a loss, you buy yourself, without that loss being so damageful to your career because you're the guy who just want to buy a front kick.
Yeah.
What you did to Bryce jumped you back into contention no matter what. And just because it was such a fucking violent knockout, it is one of the most violent things I've ever seen in my life. I think Rampage's powerbomb goes up there, which like one of those like iconic moments. Your right hand and just the way he was like laying
because
there.
a lot of times, like, and I think it's that because it's like, okay, I can knock people out bad, cold, but it's like the way he was.
Yeah,
like,
the way
afterwards.
he laid. And for those who are there live, he spasmed a little bit, right? I had like mini
a
seizure.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit.
And it was like, fuck. You're standing over him. Your emotions, because we both know you needed that. The fucking iconic photo that just gets ran around the internet, and on the card that it was on, it was needed. So I think the card absolutely needed something like that, and you delivered.
Yeah.
So
It worked out perfect.
It's one of those.
And I think I was going to headline the prelims, and I think something happened as someone dropped out of that fight, so they bumped us to the first fight of the, so it all
Fucking
worked out.
perfect.
Like the stars were aligned in that one.
Fucking
Like,
perfect. So you don't got to ever run it back because that one was that chapter is signed, still delivered.
Yeah.
He'd have to win 3 or 4 fights before he get a chance back.
Yeah.
Because there's no point.
And at that point, I had so much shit planned. It's like I didn't care. I was supposed to fight Giga. He pulled out like 2 weeks before.
Giga's had a bunch of fucking issues.
So that's why I was like, dude, I'm fighting. He's like, hey, let's fight next month. I'm like, no, I got a lot of shit planned already. I'll fight anybody.
Yeah.
Whoever they give me. And he was the biggest name.
Yeah. He's a draw. He's a good draw for the Sean Strickland type fans.
Yeah, so I was just like, I'll take it. Yeah.
He's a miracle draw. He's a make America great again draw.
Yeah.
So we talked about fighting. Before we get into a segment to wrap up, for the people who don't know anything about you, who is Josh Emmett outside of the power ride, the fucking good human? Obviously, you could talk about that, and just a UFC vet, title contender. top dog. Who is Josh Emmett? Who's Josh Emmett as a 10-year-old? Who's Josh Emmett as a 15-year-old? High school, were you a kid that got girls, or with the ginger thing a problem? Are you actually a ginger fully? Because you're bald now, or is it just a beard, or what?
It's definitely just the beard. I was like, like dirty blonde, like.
Dirty blonde?
No. It's just my.
I can't even see you with hair.
Just the roots. I used to had some hair, and I used to like bleach it white. So I'm like, that's probably why I think I went bald. So
Okay.
to the kids, don't do that.
You got to
Stay
send me
away
a
from the
picture so
bleach.
when we talk about it, I can put it in the background.
Yeah,
See
send 'em.
Josh Emmett with hair.
But yeah, no, it's like growing up. It's my mom raised my older brother and I, and it's it was tough. My mom was a single mother. She worked multiple jobs just to provide for us. We didn't have shit.
Story of my life.
Maybe had a just enough money for food. Maybe our outing would be we could go on the weekend to a dollar theater. We couldn't get any popcorn, soda, or candy, though. We'd have to get something and sneak it in,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, every now and then we could do that. But I feel like my childhood kind of like molded me into who I am. That's why there's two things I wanted to do when I was a kid. It was be a professional athlete or a police officer. And a pro athlete, I was talking about basketball, football, fighting. MMA wasn't really around. It was more boxing.
I'm going to pause you for a second and just say one thing. You know what you are? A black man. I'm just laughing because it's a movie line, but I'm going to let you continue. Story of my fucking life, bro. You have the story of most inner city black kids, including myself, cop, teacher, or professional athlete were the three professions I want to get into. And the teacher thing was more of all the other shit failed.
Yeah.
So when you're talking, I'm like, you had me at hello, and you struck oil, man. Stop digging, but continue. That's
just it was tough. So that's why, and a police officer. Why? Because I wanted to help families like my mom and older brother. What we were going through,
Mm-hmm.
like my older brother. He was a good person at heart, but he was as he got older, he had like mental health issues. As he was younger, hung out with the wrong crowd, a lot of drug issues.
Mm-hmm.
Every drug, he's done it, So I would come home, cops at my house all the time, and he was 5150 as we got older.
Yeah.
I was scared to go out with friends when I was younger, or scared to go to school, because when I came home, I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like I thought he was going to hurt my mom. That's why I got into martial arts and kung fu at a young age, to protect my mom. That's why I started wrestling in middle school.
Darwinism.
Yeah,
hit
so
your
kind of
life
like
too.
what we were talking about earlier on.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about how you just had to figure it out how to survive. And for me, it wasn't even me. I wasn't worried about me. I was like,
was the
how to
surrounding
protect my
circle.
mom.
Yep.
So that's the two things, the only two things I ever wanted to do in my life: pro athlete or cop. And so it's like I played sports growing up. I found wrestling at a young age, wrestled through, high school. And even then I was like, I don't know. I like to have fun, hang out with my friends. I played football, wrestled, baseball. But then when I got to like a sophomore, I was like, I just want to focus on wrestling, because I was, I was very athletic. I still am, but I definitely wasn't playing basketball or football. I kind of got older and I stopped growing. So I'm like, all these things are, out the window.
Football is still a possibility.
Yeah, maybe I could be,
but basketball's
some
out.
type of running back or something, but yeah, so I focused on that and just kind of wrestled and went to a junior college. And like I said, I was a big fan of MMA, but the whole time I didn't even want to leave school as I got older, like go out of town, because I got offers to wrestle on the East Coast, Midwest.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go away from home, because as I got older, my brother was getting more involved in different things, and it was just bad. So I would always have to go over to my mom's house, and
You're doing a lot of this for your mom, so East Coast is out of the question, because if I'm doing this for her, me leaving her defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah, and just like from a safety standpoint, I'm always like thinking in the back of my mind certain things. So, but yeah, that's kind of, and of course my father, as I was younger, he remarried. It was my stepmom at the time. Had my my little brother and sister, you know, which we're close to there in Sacramento. So very close with them. But it was hard, you know, growing up. Like, it's like I could write a damn book about all the stuff that I went through that I think, you know, no kid needs to even see that I like went through, experience. But it's like I always feel like, I don't know, everyone has a sob story. It's just my story, but I'm like, I'm never trying to.
It just happens to be your
just
story.
Speak about it, you know. But but if I could write a book on some of the shit that I went through and feel like, oh, this is crazy.
We'll talk more off camera because I'll break down a little bit about me and watch how it sounds so familiar. So, single mother. Mm-hmm. My dad was in prison for when I was 2 to 7. Got out, got his new wife. Mm-hmm. I've seen, you know, my uncles and everybody in my family, gang members, are in and out of prison. Mm-hmm. I have 3 sisters, no brothers, so I didn't have to worry about danger from that standpoint. But I've watched my mom, you know, boyfriends and throw fucking couches on them. Mm-hmm. My uncle fucking getting chased by police cars and shit, and police dogs, and fucking sisters on drugs right now. You know, weed is their drug of choice, but name a drug. Yeah. You know, done it. My niece and nephew that you met, the tall 6 foot 13-year-old, in there, and the other one, they're like my kids. That's like cool. They're my daughter or my son, because for the first 6-7 years of their life, I had them. My sister's in and out of prison. Her baby daddy still in prison right now, in and out. So I raised them. They live with me and my mom, and like my mom lived in her apartment with me. I'll either keep both. I was split. So they were my son and daughter. Had no fucking choice. My dad remarried and had, you know, they had my step brothers and stuff, and I got all love for him. One passed away because he ended up on drugs too. And it just fucking, you know, every government program, every assistance you can fucking think of, we had. Couldn't do much, and I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be a professional athlete. So I started playing basketball early, but I was like 5'5" going into like sophomore to junior year. So there goes basketball because I was short. Ended up drinking vitamin water. The doctor recommended vitamin water. It had only been out for like half a year at the time. He said, because you don't eat vegetables, try this, and maybe because of the vitamins, your growth spurt. 6 months later, I was 6'1" from 5'5". So too bad vitamin water didn't come out when you were in high school.
Yeah, right.
So I got tall, so I'm like, well, it's still kind of late to play basketball because I'm like a junior now. But football, I was good. Ended up doing community college, San Diego, and football. Ended up homeless. So it was either working in an apartment or be homeless and go to play football, because football is Monday through Saturday. Mm-hmm. Practice Monday through Friday, game Saturday. You can't have a full-time job and play football. It doesn't work. So I had to make a choice. It was one of the hardest choices I've ever make, because I would officially be giving it up. There's no coming back from this. I have to work. I still take care of my sisters and my mom. A lot of it motivation. Before I had my son, motivation was my mom. I wanted her to, I couldn't maybe solve everything, but I can allow her to live versus survive. Like, hey, we can actually wake up, and a few times during the year we can go on trips. We can do this. Like, I want you to live. So I've taken her to New York 3 times, and Hawaii a couple times, and fucking she wants to go somewhere. I have it. She doesn't have to worry about like rent and basic shit like that. That's cool. You know, it was the motivation. And when I had my son, obviously he became a motivation. And then after I did the college thing, I was 21 years old. I went out to be SDPD. I went through my 3rd stage to pass the written, the obstacle course.
All this stuff,
Psychological was fine. But the background investigation, I was pending a case because me and my friend means he got into a fight with this dude. I was there, so I'm co-defendant. Case got thrown out like a month later, but you can't be pending a case while trying to also be SDPD. And so when it got thrown out, I was thinking about going back, but at the same time, they only make like $36,000 a year most police departments, you can do as much overtime as you want. But I was like, for $36,000 a year, I was like, let me see what else is out there. I could have did Navy as an E3 because I did ROTC. But the problem with the Navy is they wanted to ship me other places, and that defeats the purpose. My mom is my thing, my motivation, my everything. And it's all about my mom. Me being out to sea does not help the same person I'm trying to be next to. So I had to make a decision to kind of stay, you know, in town, or at least on the West Coast, because my mom Marines turned me down because I had 7 tattoos. You can have 5 going in.
Oh, wow.
And they can do a waiver process, but they had just waived this one kid that was 1 year younger than me who had sleeves. And the recruiter was like, nah, I just waived this kid named Tim Johnson, this kid behind me. And so I'm not doing it again. So I always thank Tim because it's the best thing that never happened to me.
Wow.
And because if I would have went in the Marines, I wouldn't have been here, right?
That's crazy you say that, too. I was going to go in the Marines, too. So I went, me and my good friend growing up, I did all the buddy system. I was going in E3 already.
Good shit.
Private first class because...
You did ROTC or no?
No, we did the buddy system. I did all the testing that I needed to do to go in. I was all signed up for the military, too. And then I was going to go in the Army, become like an MP, and then come out and become a cop. And the last, I didn't want to go. My junior college coach hit me up and he said, hey, I want you to wrestle for us. I already signed you up for all your classes. You just have to come and pick up your schedule. He's not supposed to do that, but he's retired now.
It is what it is.
So yeah, so I was like, so I did that. And my girlfriend, wife now, we were dating too, so I didn't want to leave
That's
that.
tough.
And so, but I'm thankful for that. So I ended up getting out. The recruiter was pissed because I was 17 when I did it. My mom signed, but that's how I kind of got out of the whole thing. I was supposed to go, and then he was so damn pissed. And then I ended up getting out of that. My friend still went. I graduated high school in 2003, so that was after 9/11.
Yeah.
He was deployed, out there. He's had multiple surgeries. He got honorable discharge because it was of like damn near bombs and stuff like that. IEDs going off, and he has shrapnel in him still, but I would have been right there with him too. So
100%.
It just
would he survive? You might have not.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe I wouldn't even be here too.
And if you survive, he's probably getting. Is he still in or is he out now?
No, he got out.
Yeah, so he's getting his 100%.
Yeah,
but it's probably no more than $7,000 a month for the rest of his life. But it's still
less because even my little brother,
it's 2003. The money was different then.
Yeah, so he gets it too, 100%, and it's my little brother.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Yeah, I'm thinking the amount of money they make now at 100%, you probably get 5 for the rest of your life. But it's based on what you're getting paid, and what he was getting paid then.
Yeah,
it was equivalent. I think Army and Marines were equivalent then, $12 an hour, $11 an hour.
Yeah.
So, because Navy a couple years ago was Navy right now, I think is equivalent to $19, $20 an hour if you're E1, E2, to start.
Okay.
So without being married or with a kid, you're not making any money in the fucking military.
Yeah.
You go get a Dodge Charger, but other than that, it's tough. But you would have been right next to him. And if you make it out, even if you make it out, where would you be? Your mindset, you've been away from your mom. Your wife wouldn't have been your wife, possibly. Yeah. I mean, who knows? But the divorce rate in the United States is already 50%. Military divorce rate is awful.
Yeah.
So they call it Dear Johns for a fucking reason. And the people you normally go to military for, it defeats the purpose because then you're not there with her.
Yeah.
And if you guys, that's her hometown as well. The problem is if that's her hometown, every other dude that likes her now is unimpeded because you're out here fighting war.
Yeah.
And I'm happy everything worked out, for you because, military is great, but sometimes it's the best thing that never happened.
Yeah.
And
that's some of the stuff I think my coach.
Your coach, timing is everything.
Thank you for that, and then it's everything about it. I went through everything with the police department too, passed all the oral boards, doing all this stuff. They're like, don't take this fight because we're going to save you a spot for the academy. And then one time there was budget cuts. I went through the process again. And then then I got, during the background, I got DQ'd because said something I wasn't reliable or something like that.
When it comes to
it was some type of reference or something that I
would say psychological. A lot of military people that would have went or in the military, they get DQ'd a lot because they're heroes. I learned that certain questions they ask you, would you save, run in the house to save? And a lot of people think they're supposed to make that move, and it's nah. Sometimes you let the few die so you can save the rest for your career. And that's why Marines get turned down for cops a lot because some of them jarheads are heroes.
Okay.
Police don't want necessarily heroes.
Yeah, I would have failed that too because I would have said I would have go in too.
So some of those questions, I was warned before going into that. that a lot of jarheads, because when I was in the class, it was like 30 people in there, 20-something of them all ex-military. Wow. I'm the only like civilian walking out here, like never done any type of serving. And a lot of these guys are DQ'd because they have the military hero mentality. And again, I don't want to speak with 100% factual. So what the fuck do I know, right? But that's what I was been told by multiple people is they don't really want too much of a hero jarhead mentality, because going in to risk your life to save one is like, you want to save everybody if you can, but you have a 20-year career. How many people do you save if you're alive? Yeah. And it makes sense when we say it. Of course. But when you ask me on the spot, man, I'm going to save that person. Yeah. I'm going to do the extra. Yeah. And people get DQ'd for that. So you could have been DQ'd anyway.
Yeah. I was so pissed at the time too. And it's like, and then I have a lot of friends that are CHP, COs, police, sheriff, and they're like, this guy that's my partner, I'd much rather have you, my partner. But it's, I don't know. But I'm grateful for it all, like everything. And then even, wanting to be there for my mom and do all these things, like fast forward till, 20, like a few years ago, it's like my wife and I, we built a house for my mom in the backyard. So she's there, like it's a nice place.
I was thinking about doing the same here.
Yeah. So see, it's like
just running electricity. I have space. If I really wanted to. My mom only cares about like a 1-bedroom apartment. Yeah. Build her like some.
And that's what we did. It's a 1-bedroom house. It's an ADU, but it's like ADU. It's super nice. And my wife's
her space.
Yeah, she's
my mom needs
designer.
that in a garden. She would like a garden.
Exactly.
And the rest, we're here. Yeah. Like we're here, but that's it's like having a room, but a big ass room.
Yeah. Right. She has it's full size everything. Washer, dryer, kitchen. It's nicer than our place, brand new. It's perfect.
It's upgraded.
So, yeah.
You're close enough. But you can also not see her for a day or two if need be.
Yeah, it's still the space. She has her own entrance. Yep. It's her house. We'll see each other sometimes, where the dog goes out there to bark to go get snacks. He sees her more than we do.
Good. So. This is great shit. See, this is a Josh. I definitely want to know. We're like multiverse, different versions of each other, and there's a lot of people out there that grew up a lot like us. And for you, a lot of people like that story sounds like a story of a minority. And this is what I like. I hope this catch traction, because there are white kids that go out this shit. There are, Italians that go through this shit.
Yeah, everybody.
But obviously media controls everything. And we don't hear stories from somebody that looks like you going through that. And I think there's going to be kids that are going. I know some of these kids out in Riverside, white kids going through the motions. And they don't know that just people that look like you going through it. They know there's people that look like me go through it. But it's not as known or helped or spoke about that. No, like everybody goes through everything.
Oh yeah, and that's why a lot of times like I don't talk about in depth or detail about it, but it's like I've so much death in my life and drug and stuff like that, and it's like my father, my older brother, they're not here anymore, just a lot of things, and it's like, and then when I was doing MMA, I wanted to, I worked at a group home on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 14 to 16-hour shifts, so I could pursue MMA full time during the week. And it's like just to try to even help some of the kids.
Story that people don't know.
And it's a hands-on facility because it's the worst kids. But it's like I never put my damn hands on the kids. I would just talk to them and try to help them out. It's but even now, even a lot of them, they still hit me up. And I was fighting on the regional scene while I was doing that, and then now in the UFC. And they're in their like 20s now, hitting me up, texting me and stuff. And I was trying to help one kid, if they just try to like, or at least don't do that shit when I'm like here, like I know what you're doing, like I was your age, like you're not sly, you're not like pulling a fast one on me, like.
Yeah, we've been there, done that.
Yeah, but just trying to help somebody, and that's why I like I'll sign shit, I'll take pictures with every single person that asks me, because I don't know, like I was a fan of a lot of people. I'll do anything, so I know what it means. Yeah. So it's like I kind of.
I'm not famous in any way. I've met a bunch of famous people. I will take a picture or two at a fight just because people recognize social media. It'll probably be more and more as I do these podcasts. But one thing I do is I answer every fucking message on social media. Some of them are dumb as fuck. But I open every single. I try my hardest. It'll be like a day later or two sometimes. But I try my hardest to respond to people, because for some of these people, right, they see me like, well, he was with the Kardashian once, or he was that and he was that. It's like, man, I just know people when I get in places, and I've met some people, and some of these are great people, but I'm not them. I don't pretend to be them. But for them, I am. For some of the people on social media, I am as about as, the halfway point between celebrity and normal. I'm like in the between. I don't think I'll ever get to celebrity because as much as it sounds cool, at the same time, I'm such a reserved person that I don't even post when I'm at fights because the street kid in me, you don't let people know you're not at home. That's how you get robbed. So I'll post after the fact. I used to get in arguments with my wife, and she's like, "You don't post that I'm here. You trying to hide me or something?" I was like, "I don't post shit." I was like, Monday when I'm back at home, I'll post, or Sunday night or something. I was like, but why would I tell everybody I'm not at home? And she's like, nobody's gonna rob you. I'm like, probably not anymore, but it's fucking.
It's in you.
I can't help myself. All the my people keep it 100. Stupid. Don't keep it 100. Keep it 80, 85. Stop telling everybody everything. Right. You can get just when you're giving your 80, 85, even 90, just be 100% factual about that shit. Don't be a liar when you're giving your 90, but you got to keep some stuff to yourself.
Oh, for sure.
So I've always been reserved, but for you, I can contest to what you said. You're definitely a man of the people. I've seen, you'll be at these places, and the reason I talk to you is because my buddy Tim was talking to you. And, we've been around a lot of people, and a lot of fighters don't actually like sit there and engage in a regular conversation. And I talked to you for maybe 10 minutes. Fast forward, I seen you, I think, one of the International Fight Weeks, and I walked to you and I was like, "What's up, big dog? Good shit in your last fight. You didn't go your route." I was like, "It looked like he was just a little faster than you." And you're like, "Yeah, shit happens." And first thing you said to me was like, "How's the Charger tickets and Rams ticket thing going?" I was like, "My dude, for 1 10-minute conversation, you clocked it. And you didn't forget. When you asked me if I did for a living, it was a quick conversation." International Fight Week 2022 or 2021. And then fast forward a year and a half later or whatever, for you to still remember a conversation out of all the people you talk to means you are not just checking it in. So I can contest that you are like that guy. And that was the conversation, the first one was good. When you still remember what I did, that was where like the respect came. And I think I asked you about the podcast right there. I was like, this dude, like, because as much as I have a podcast, I'm also picky who I bring to my fucking house. Like, I might not be a professional fighter, but I don't give a fuck about I'd hurt a lot of people all the same. And I'm iffy about some of my cousins, when we have family events, I give them an address to the park. And I pick them up. They don't get the address to my house. Right? And so I'm like, nah, when you said that, I was like, I have to have him on the podcast. He's a good person. And I said, either this is all a long con. I was like, who knows? It could be a long con. I was like, or if he is who he says he is, I was like, I fuck with Josh. And that's why after your fight, I was like, I need to make sure I want him to see there's somebody that also like really here for him too. Like, and then you acknowledged it was cool. And then I was like, yeah, I'll see him again. And I actually hadn't seen you since your fight until the Nate Diaz thing.
In Anaheim, right?
I seen a bunch of people at the fight, and I like made it a point to get up. I seen you walk out first. And I was like, all right, what goes out must come back in, right? And I was like, as soon as he comes back, I was like, I know he's going to be fucking berated with pictures and shit. I was like, but I got to like speak to him. It's been too long. Wow. And so I like, made sure I got the fuck out of the seat. I was there by myself too. My wife, last minute, she's like, I don't feel like going. So my fucking $500, whatever the fuck floor seats cost, I don't know what it was, seat just sitting there wide open. Tim? That's a very good question. He got into fighting his own, so I think he might have been in the camp.
Oh, okay.
He's amateur, about to go pro. He's fought at Texas a few times, fought out here a few times, and I normally leave him alone when he's in the camp because one, you don't need to be nowhere where all this food is at, all this other shit. And I don't even want to put that in, tempt you. Like, you're already starting fighting older, and it's already tough cut weight. His mom is a little sick right now, so I'm like, some outlets are good, but sometimes take care of your business.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's been like 20 plus fucking UFC fights and all kinds. I take him everywhere too. He's my business partner. He helped me build that business we're talking about. He was the only person with me from day one. 7 years, we worked 115 hours a week.
Damn.
So we know about the 14-hour work days, 6:30 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday through Saturday.
Wow.
From 2015 to 2021. And that's our schedule. And we're the business, first we're workers, and then we opened our own business. And the schedule was hectic, and most of the time just enough to pay the rent. But when we had a good year or two, like a good year was like $100,000 a week. good year.
Yeah.
So, and he was the only one with me the whole time. So, International Fight Week, I think when we met you, we went to the Salt Bay restaurant, and he's like, Mike, I want to fight. I was like, well, I want to fight too, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah.
because I want to fight, right? I hate watching you guys and feel like I'm judging you and haven't gotten in the ring. That pisses me off as a man. I feel like a bitch. So I was like, I got to get in some type of ring and compete. And I told him, I was like, only one of us can do it, and one of us has to run the business. Be transparent. This motherfucker could never run the business without me, but I can run it 10 times without him. So I was like, well, that sounds like we both know who's going to fight. So I was like, all right. So I sponsored him, and I paid for his private lessons at Cub Swanson's gym.
That's cool.
It was going to be your gym, to be honest, because you had told us.
We were talking, come out, but.
Yeah, you told us to come out, and we didn't have a gym, and we didn't know anything. We're like, hey, if we're going to start for at least a month, we're going to start one of these two gyms.
Somewhere closer. Yeah.
So I was like, if Cubs gym is like, we didn't know if it was we didn't know it was a UFC gym where you can do membership. We thought it was like something more private. So I was like, if he doesn't accept you there, I was like, I'll send you the fucking sack for like 30 days just to start your career. But luckily, Cubs gym accepted him all in. Cub has been nothing but a fucking good mentor to him all day long. So shout out to Cub. Cool. And he started training with a guy that Cub trains and who also helps train Cub. And he's had a few fights. I think his record is even. Problem with his amateur record is he fights amateur, but he's trained by pros. Amateur fights don't translate to, like, there's more, it becomes brawls. A lot of these fights, well, as soon as you start, after the first round, all the training's out the window and they just throwing. Yeah. I was like, so he's sitting there trying to set up things like he's doing in training, and these guys are just throwing crazy melee punches. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's not your style. I was like, if anything, even Cub told me, you probably have to go pro. I was like, you can't be sitting here. He broke his arm once, checked the fucking kick with his arm and got snapped. He didn't know until after, gangster. Yeah. Cub's like, yeah, you can't keep getting hurt and doing all this crazy shit. You're not even get to use your training because it just turns into like a brawl.
Yeah, it's just like
you're trying to set up kicks and try to set up, all this other shit. You'll never throw a question mark kick in a fucking amateur brawl. Yeah. You're at that point, you're in Muay Thai clinch the whole fucking time.
Like some amateur fights too, they're, like 3-2s or something. It's like fucking go in there, just take the guy down and just win,
just go do some shit.
But it's like I get like amateur. That's why I did a few amateur fights, just because I wanted to get the feeling. Just like I played sports my whole life, but I'm like, I want to see what it's like to be in there, and I know it's a clean slate when you go pro. So it's like I would get as much experience as you possibly can.
That's where he's at.
Because you could be fucking 0-20, it doesn't matter. And then you turn pro, and then you go on a
3-0, 3-4-0
yeah,
win streak.
3-4-5-0, get to 6-0, get in the UFC.
I think he has 5 fights. I think he's 3-2.
Yeah,
one of them, I think he would have been 3-1, but ref stopped the fight at the third round. Said that he.
And I think they're being like super careful, like amateur sometimes, like because they want him to, live the fight another day or get there. Like
he cut too much weight on that fight. Okay. The ref said he had a concussion protocol, but within a minute later, ref's like, "Oh, you look fine." I'm like, "Nah, you cut." He cut so much that the UFC gym called me and was like, "Yo, we need to call you to stop. We're gonna call that fucking hospital on him." Like, because he, was really sucked. When those couldn't talk shit. He looked dead. I even told him you shouldn't see your mom like this. Like, you look what you would look like if you're about to die. Yeah. And I was like, you would have. Like, because he cut to 125 when he should have had. Like, but that was the fight. He's trying to take as much experience. They offered him 125, 4 weeks out. He's like, fuck, I'll cut. Yeah. I was like, 135 used to be a hard cut for you. So I was like, 125 killed him. Yeah. Whatever reason, he actually had a great fight. He had a 10-8 round. Second round, he lost, but, 10-9. So going to a third round, the guy would have to stop you or get a 10-8 is the only way. Because even if you guys... I was like, it's be a draw or you win.
Still win, yeah.
And he goes into a third round, and are about to start the third round, and the doctor's like, no, concussion protocol. It was the same guy who saw him at the weigh-in the day before. That's stupid. And I think the dude didn't, because he looked gassed. I mean, he saw him at the weigh-in. He looked bad, really, really bad. I think the doctor's trying to protect him, like, hey, I don't know if you have the energy for this. Because he, the second round, he got fucking... It was Muay Thai clinch the whole time, and the dude was just giving him work. So he lost the second round decisively. Still was a 10-9 out of 10-8. But after losing that round that way, I think the doctor assumed the fight was going to go that route again. And if this guy is already fucking, energy gone, why let him fight? I think he should let him fucking fight for sure. Yeah. One, he had a 10-8 first round.
Yeah.
Like second round, yeah, he lost, but you just took a damn near guaranteed dub from the dude.
Yeah.
And then to tell us, oh, he looks fine now. At that point, you might as well tell us it's because of his weight cut. Don't tell us concussion and then tell us he doesn't have a concussion a minute later.
Why'd you let me fight 2 rounds already?
Yeah, fuck kind of shit is that? But that was one that it hurt because he had his whole family out and everything. But we learned a good lesson that he would never cut to 125 ever again.
Yeah.
And it was like, it doesn't matter how much you want to get experience. That weight cut was way too much.
Oh, yeah.
And
were they same day weigh-ins or still night before?
same day, right? Day before.
Because
So
that's
place
crazy.
called-
Like a lot of times, like when I was doing amateur, it's like day up.
Yeah.
And so I was telling like all the young kids, they're like, "Oh, I want to do this." I'm like, just fight at your weight that you train at. Just because.
Yeah.
It's like, because you can't recover that fast. Especially
2 hours.
Like you're dehydrating the shit out of yourself. There's no possible way you can hydrate.
You
And
just
especially
shocked your
brain.
body. Yeah.
It's like your brain, and then in a contact sport, it's like that's why when people have really bad weight cuts, it's like you'll see them get clipped and they're knocked out.
If you put
back.
too much back on, you'll you'll throw
you're
up.
sluggish and all
Yeah.
this shit. And then, but if you have a hard weight cut and you get hit in the head, it's like that's why you see people just out. You
Yeah,
know?
Poetan, Izzy.
Yeah.
Right? You cut 40 pounds, it's all good.
Yeah.
And a person who's not known for knockouts sleeps you.
Yeah.
Like starches you.
Yeah.
It's part of that is that fucking weight cut.
Yeah,
You had
and
no
such-
business being at 185 in the first place when you fight. When you're the next day you're 229.
Yeah. And it's like, what was your like the hydration
Yeah.
protocol and all that stuff? It's like, dude, that's where it's like working with like such a good team, like I do with like the dietitians. They have everything down to the damn.
That
dude,
works. I'm happy
it's
because
so
it keeps
cool.
you safe.
Yeah, and they're trying to, and that's why everything they do is like keeps you like the weight cut will be the safest possible, even though it's not the best thing for you. But also they're gonna hydrate you, supplement you with like they know how the hormones, all the body works with all the fats and all the stuff. So just like the right nutrition going in you. And I see people make weight and then they go fucking eat fast food or drinking a soda. I'm like, eat that after your win. Like you don't want to. You've been going through a camp for 8 weeks, eating so clean, your body's like. It's like, and then you
Then you go get a burger.
octane in a sports car, like before, like when you have to perform. So that's why it's like save that for after the fight.
Eat.
Eat a shit ton, but the good.
But
stuff,
don't go eat a fucking greasy burger or some shit where your body's
have this having milk.
whether you like it or
I'm
not, your body's rejecting it as you're putting it in. It doesn't want it to be here because it's foreign again.
Yeah,
it's the whole point of shocking your body.
Exactly.
Your body's like, fuck,
it's like right before the race, I'm gonna put some like muddy ass oil in my car and go race it. Like you're definitely not gonna win.
You shouldn't do it ever. But if you're gonna do it, not before why you need all this energy the most.
Exactly.
So. One question, and we'll get into our segments. I always ask people, well, two questions. One, at this point, especially in SAC, you're a lot of people's hero, right? Who is your hero?
Man, it's always like I'd probably have to put it on even just my mom and my wife because like for one, the stuff my mom's gone through, she's like the most. She's just like the sweet lady, selfless person. Like she does everything for people, and just seeing all the stuff that she's gone through and being strong for me, you're not really trying to show something. I don't know what for, but she's lost her father, her brothers, her son, multiple people, some friends, and just still trying to be strong. And then my wife too, just for all the shit she does for me, and just like. I would not be in the position I am without her.
Two sides of the same coin.
And I put her in, put her through so much stuff. And same thing, trying to be strong and do. I don't know. It's just, Those
are great answers.
Those two are definitely. Those would be my heroes, and I do this for them. Like so, I'm willing to put my body through, whatever. I have to achieve greatness and provide for them and set them up, even though. They don't want that, They want. My wife's always like, you have to live a life after your career, and I know that.
Yeah,
but I'm willing.
You gotta have
to
the career first, though.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I'm willing to do whatever I need to, so I can
live that life, though.
So I can put them in that position.
That's great. It's a symbiotic relationship, which is great. A lot of people, wives, husbands, even with parents, it's not symbiotic. A lot of times it's one-sided. But you guys seem like you have a really good dynamic, and I'm happy for you as a man, for sure. Next question is dream fight. If you could fight anyone in world history, Genghis Khan, fucking Hitler, an actual fighter from BJ Penn, anybody in your life that if you could have a dream fight, who's that fighter that you fight? Or who's that person, entity, you know, when Bruce Jenner first came out, do you go knock him out or her out? I don't know. Just
Yeah, I've never like as far as somebody, it's like I don't know if I just fight like another just person that's not a fighter, unless it's just some shitty person. Maybe I would want to fight them, but
even if it's a warrior battle, like say we're going gladiator days and it's say if it's Genghis Khan, right? He might not be an MMA fighter, but if you would just go to battle, you know, it's that person where you want to see yourself in battle with said individual.
Man, I don't even know, because there's some people that are like iconic, like Bruce Lee and stuff like that. It's like, but I don't know if I want to fight him. You know, I don't want, I don't want to fight a Bruce Lee, but it would be cool to spar a Bruce Lee back in the day.
It's close enough answer.
Yeah, maybe like spar him and just kind of see his tricks and kind of just kind of see how he's setting people up and how he kind of, I don't know, just his like style and flow and demeanor and just everything about him. I could learn some stuff from him. So that'd be kind of cool if I could, spar, maybe not fight a Bruce Lee.
Spar,
I want to get my ass
spar and work out with Bruce Lee.
him, teach me some shit.
Yeah. That's good shit, man. That's good shit. Bruce Lee, it's a great one. Mine was I always thought to myself, like, if I was to be a fighter, Chuck, just because it'd be an honor, win or lose.
Yeah.
Just the Iceman. And then just in general world history, I would say Benedict Arnold. Just as the world's like first biggest trader, him and Judas. Like, I just want to like hit one of those motherfuckers. Yeah. I don't know why. I just want to like just hit you. And then I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones, but there's a character called Ramsay Bolton. Just whenever you watch Game of Thrones, you'll understand. Just fuck that guy. It's just if you ever watch Game of Thrones, fuck that guy. I want to like fight that guy.
Yeah.
Just because he's a piece of shit. Even though it's a movie character, like he was just such a piece of shit in that show. I don't know if you ever watch shows where somebody's so bad that I almost don't want to like him in real life. He's one of those people that you just don't want to like him in real life for like his character in the fucking show. So that'd be mine. But other than that, I'm not a professional fighter. Chuck kicked my ass right now.
I know it was always like my favorite boxer, Mike Tyson, but it's like I definitely want to fight him.
Nah.
I wouldn't want to fight him. I'd want to learn from him.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of boxers and fighters.
Mike's still intimidating.
It's
He's still fucking intimidating at his age. And motherfucker got me crying on TV. I was at the ESPYs and I was sitting next to him and they're doing this thing about DeMar Hamlin. Like the whole guy who passed out on the football field, had a heart attack and almost died. Yeah. And it was like a whole thing about him, and the whole crowd is like, and Mike's crying like fucking baby. Yeah. So I'm like this, and then they put the fucking camera, and he's all right there.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, fuck. I was like trying to wipe it off. I was like, fucking whooping me on TV, and I'm fucking crying. I mean myself, put it on Mike. Oh yeah. They had it on Mike, and then they go from Mike and they go right to me. They don't know who I am. I'm just a big black dude in a suit in the front row with Mike Tyson. So they just assume I'm a athlete. I'm like, nah, I just kind of know people, and the seats are open.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, fucking sharing crying moment with Mike Tyson. Crying still intimidating. He's an intimidating guy. But shout out to Mike Tyson. Now I wouldn't want to fight Mike Tyson. No version of his. I would think I would love to spar with Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, spar with him. Not fight him. I would never fight that motherfucker. Yeah. But like spar with Muhammad Ali, because I wasn't always this big, but I was always this tall. And so Muhammad Ali, similar height and build, like shoulders and everything. Yeah. I feel like our size of that, I would love to spar with the legend.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to get into segments. So first segment is called Sip Happens by Gelato Pure Water. Drink Gelato. So the way it's going to work, I'm going to give you a couple of brain teasers.
Okay.
Trick questions. If you get it wrong, you will take a sip. If it was tequila, it'd be tequila, but water works. I'll probably do 3, 4, or 5, depending on how many you get right, and then we'll wrap that up.
0 for 5.
Yeah, let's see if you go. See if you're better than Brandon Moreno or Jalen Turner. And then the next segment will be Watch or Pass. Watch or Pass by Gadali. So I'm going to give you 2 options, and your mindset is to tell yourself, if they were both on television, you have to pass one. You'll never be able to watch it again, no reruns, and you watch one.
Okay.
So, and I'm gonna give you different options and see like how it works out. So first, let's get into the brain teasers. We got about 15 minutes before we got to get you done with this and get you back home. All right, easy one. Josh Emmett, Sip Happens. Christina has 5 daughters. Each of her daughters have a brother. How many kids does Christina have?
Christina has 5 daughters. Each of her daughters have one brother.
Mm-hmm.
It's like each of her daughters have one brother. So it's like, I'm assuming it's 1, but it could be. Oh no, so she has 6 kids, or she could have 10 kids. But I'd say 6.
6. Answer's right. Good job. That was a 1 star. I have him like starred.
Oh, okay.
Somebody still got that one wrong. Not bad.
But it is kind of, at first I'd be like 10, but yeah.
All right, let's see. When I was 4, my sister was half my age. I am now 64. How old is my sister?
When I was 4, my sister was half my age.
Mm-hmm.
You're 64. So she's 32.
Take a sip.
Wait, what? Say it again.
So when I was 4, my sister was half my age. I am now 64. How old is my sister?
Oh.
You get it?
I see where I messed
You get
that
it?
up. Yeah.
Yeah, so
she
she'll
would
be
definitely
62 years old. She's only 2 years younger than me. But the half part, see, that's why they call it tricks. There we go. It should be an easy one. What 5-letter word becomes shorter when you add 2 letters to it?
What 5-letter word becomes shorter when you add 2 words to it?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds so bad. I don't even know.
Take a sip. The word short.
There it is.
And you got the first one at least.
Maybe I'll go. That's the only one I'll get.
Let's see. No, that one's too hard. This one should be really easy. A plane crashes between the border of Mexico and the United States, center on the border. Where do you bury the survivors?
Bury them where they're from, but where do you bury the survivor? Oh, shit. You don't bury the survivors.
There we go.
It is.
We'll go 50-50.
I was like,
Took you long enough. As a 1 star. Let's see. 3 doctors say that Robert is their brother, but Robert said he has no brothers. They all took a lie detector test, and yet no one is lying. How is this possible?
3 brothers have a brother named Robert, you said? See, I'll just take my sip now.
Yeah, so 3 doctors say that Robert is their brother.
Okay.
Robert says, fuck that, I don't have any brothers. They all take a lie detector test, and yet no one is lying. How is this possible?
He was... I don't know, adopted, sperm donor or something like that. Shit, I don't know.
Your sexism is showing.
Huh?
3 doctors could be his sisters, man. That's what it is. They're his sisters.
Well, there it is.
Those are questions that I don't know why, but every time I have like multiple questions like that when the word doctor is involved, or
it's a
pilot,
man, huh?
and we instantly go, man.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of the same thing. I don't get these ones, and I'm like, fuck, that's sexism, huh? I guess I do have a little bit in me because I don't even put the doctors on being a female.
Yeah.
So one more, and then we'll wrap up. This one Chuck got right immediately, which threw me off. Nobody's ever got this right immediately. All right, we got 6 girls, 6 apples in a basket. Each girl take an apple. How come there's still 1 in the basket? took him 2 seconds, and he got it right.
Really? 6 girls, 6 apples in a
I couldn't
basket.
believe it.
There's 1 apple still remaining.
No, there's still an apple in the basket. Yeah. So how is that possible?
Are you sure there were 6 apples in the basket?
Yes, we are sure. There's 6 apples in the basket. There's only one possible way there's still apple in the basket. Do you see what I mean? How weird it is? Chuck got this right.
Someone choked and died.
Nah. One of them took the basket.
Okay. Wow.
I couldn't.
Yeah,
I've
how do you
asked
get
this since
that?
I was in like 6th grade, and I got it wrong in 6th grade. Nobody's ever got that right. Chuck clocked it in like 2 seconds. He was
heard
like,
it
one of the
before.
girls took a basket. I looked at him like, what the fuck? I was like, this guy's on point. He told me, he's like, yeah, I'm going to suck at this. He long conned me because he got them all right except one. I think I
No
asked him
way.
5. And he got them right like without even thinking. Like I'm talking seconds.
Damn.
And I asked him like harder ones than I asked you. And he clocked them all.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm like, fucking. He's like, yeah, I kind of do this. He's like, I always play dumb sometimes and let people think.
See, I'm the worst when it comes to like things like I'm like, don't take me to a trivia night. You know, I'm like, I'm horrible at this shit. Yeah.
He's like, wrestling, fighting, sports, football, I'm good. Trick questions and trivia, he's like, nah, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
So, last one, and we wrap up. Watch Our Past by Gadali Timepieces, luxury timepieces. Shout out to Gadali for the carbon watch. We're going to get Josh a watch. James, we're going to get my
Thanks,
man a
James.
watch. So you're going to have 2 scenarios. One you have to watch, one you have to pass forever, and forever hold your peace. You will never get to see it. The most you'll get to do is maybe somebody will give you stories about it.
Okay.
So the first one's Diaz brothers join Power Slap, and they have their Power Slap debut, which is going to be a spectacle. Stockton Slap, or your favorite sports team winning the championship. You have to watch one, you have to pass one. So you only get to hear stories about what happened, but you didn't get to watch it live. Which one you watching, which one you passing?
I'm going to watch my sports team win the championship.
Play in the championship.
Oh,
by the way.
play, not win.
Play. Win, you obviously we're not passing that up.
Yeah, that's.
So let's say the Kings make it to the championship.
NBA Finals.
NBA Finals.
Game 7.
Game 7 is almost too easy of a choice. We're all watching Game 7. Let's say Game 1. Kings
yeah.
have been in the finals in.
Well, then I'll pass Game 1. You know, I'll catch the next handful of them, and I'll watch the Diaz slap.
What if it was Game 7?
Then I'd probably do the opposite.
You're probably opposite.
Yeah.
It'll be tough to miss the Diaz brothers in their Power Slap debut.
But I would hear about it. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
The rest of my life. If the
I agree with
Kings
the
could
sports
win
team
the
thing.
NBA Finals.
I agree with the sports team thing because somebody was trying to explain to me what happened in Power Slap. I think I can put an image in my head, right?
Yeah.
An image, I think like somebody explanation of Game 7 wouldn't do me any justice. I have to see that. Like, it is what it is.
It's almost like when Robert Horry, played the Kings in the Western Conference Finals, right?
And with the big shot?
Yeah, I think that was after the bell, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
To this
of course you think.
Yeah.
Big Shot Bob. We're not going to tarnish Big Shot Bob's career. So, but as a Kings fan, you got to think. We got to think. A Raiders fan, believe in the Tuck rule. You know, Robert, after, LeBron haters think Ray Allen bailed his career out, but everybody has their preference. Next one. Let's see if we can make it a little harder. You rewatch your wedding video, or you get to actually see it. Say you had amnesia, but you know you're married, and only thing you can see is your wedding video, or Josh Emmett and new. Be careful, sir. You said you had a nice wife. Yeah. And new Josh Emmett.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll watch the and new. I'll pass on the old video. I'll hear stories about it. You know,
They will get remarried.
We were having a good time, a lot of drinking. So, like, I'll believe the stories I hear.
Make sure when I post you on this, you repost it so your wife can see you passed up on watching the wedding video for the championship. She'll understand.
Yeah, she'll understand.
She'll understand. Sure. You had to think about it for a second.
Yeah.
It's tough when Brandon Moreno said the same thing. He's watching. He's like, well, my marriage is like in the courtroom, so that's why. And let me explain it. I was like, at least you have an excuse. I was like, but wedding. One fighter said that if his son's debut, in the UFC, or him winning the championship.
Yeah.
And it took him forever. He went back and forth. His son's graduation from high school, he said, fuck the graduation. He's going to the championship fight. He's like, it's just high school. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
So, next one. Tito Ortiz, Dana White actually fight the way they were going to. Watching that, or watching Jake Paul's debut in MMA against somebody who could probably take him. You have to miss one forever, and you only get stories. Do you want to see Jake Paul finally in MMA and really get tested and maybe possibly lose?
I'd watch
Tito
Dana and Tito.
But
fight.
you're a Tito fucking fan, so.
But I'll just watch them fight. Like if it's someone that's really good MMA fighter, like a good striker, great wrestler, I'll hear the stories later.
Hear the stories.
On how fast it was. It'd be like a
How fast?
Couture James Toney thing.
Yeah, okay. Some people have a hard time with that because we all want to see Jake Paul hit MMA, and I feel like it almost doesn't do us any justice to not watch his first debut and like get what's coming. Right? He's, as a boxer, I give him all his fucking credit.
Yeah, no, he works
You
hard.
know, whether he fights old people or not, he works at it. He works hard. He trains as much as everybody else, and his right hand is solid.
Yeah, for sure.
But MMA is a whole different fucking beast.
Oh, yeah.
And I would love to see him fight and really get tested. And if he wins, congratulations to
But
him.
it's like, when he goes into MMA, if he does, is he actually going to fight? Like, I don't know. It's still going to be cherry picked. Is it going to be someone actually his weight class, or is he going to fight a featherweight? Or
Think about it.
you know, it's like
Is he? Is he in like 2 years in MMA? Izzy doesn't do a lot of wrestling. He's a stand-up guy. Him and Jake Paul weigh the same. Such a weird fight. You would think Izzy has the advantage, but Jake Paul is strong enough to put anybody down. I don't care who you are. He has that right hand is real.
Yeah.
And Izzy's not going to wrestle him.
Yeah.
So Izzy will
But
if
if
they leg
Izzy
kicks
was
and
fighting Jake Paul, like I'm putting my money on Izzy.
Yeah, I'm still gonna
You
put my
know,
money on
in
Izzy
MMA.
all day.
Yeah.
Just
Because
because
he hasn't seen kicks and stuff,
No.
knees coming at him.
let's
and
say he
it's-
trains, Jake Paul trains for like, we don't know, but he's been training enough. And again, I'm saying 2 years from now, Izzy. There's no Izzy, no version right now.
Yeah.
He beats Izzy. 2 years from now, I can at least pretend to say it might be a good fight if Izzy's like taking a couple more losses, taking some time off, and returns for Jake Paul. I can see it being interesting.
Yeah.
Because
it would definitely get the views.
they're
but
both
yeah.
185. They both cut down to 185 after weighing about 210.
But see,
Izzy's
Jake
taller.
is huge though. Like when he fought Mike Perry, he wasn't 185. He was like 20 something, right? Wasn't he like 205?
I think they
210?
fought at I
There's
think
a
they did fight at
catchweight,
like 205 or some shit.
Yeah, because even Perry
or 196 or something
Perry
like that.
came in like under the limit. You know?
I think Jake was 198 and Perry
okay.
was like 180
Okay, yeah.
something. I don't know.
Small,
And I was
yeah.
with Jake cutting, so
okay.
because I'm pretty sure he didn't walk in without cutting any weight
Oh yeah,
at one.
because I know when he was training for Tyson, he was like 240, 235.
Yeah, he
or
was he
something.
can get up there.
He was huge. Yeah.
Izzy in a couple of years, Izzy walks around 210, 220.
Yeah.
So again, I can see that being
Yeah.
a matchup that he would take to try to get a notch on his belt as an
Yeah.
Izzy type guy.
Yeah, I could see that.
So-
but I'd watch the
Dana
and
Tito.
Tito fight.
I
I'd
think
listen
I
to
still
that.
pick the Dana Tito because Dana really wanted some of Tito at that time.
Yeah.
So next thing, Frank Trigg, Bruce Buffer, that fight in the elevator. You actually get to watch it. Or Chael Sonnen and Vanderlei Silva during the tough fight, nobody around, when he's like, I can't let you get too close. Actually letting that fight happen, and just letting him go.
I'd watch the Chael.
The Chael and
Chael and
why?
I think it'd be more competitive than Frank Trigg and Bruce Buffer. I've heard
It's
of
only for like three floors. It sounded like they were going back and forth.
Yeah, it'd probably be a lot more entertaining and just, or not entertaining, just it'd be funny. That's
because
for sure.
it's Bruce.
Yeah,
seeing Bruce in there, holding his own,
it's
throwing
funny,
blows.
but it's like I would rather watch these guys actually fight each other. Yeah,
Just-
Vanderlei and Chael.
That would have been like, imagine if nobody was there and they really got the fight on camera and nobody broke it up.
Yeah,
I don't even know like what happens at that point.
yeah, it's like they
Out
just
of
fight till
the
win.
real
like,
actual fight.
you just fight and like
To be honest, I think that's Jail's. I think Jail takes
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
I think
He's
the
gonna
American
just take
Gangster
it.
takes it. I think the Bad
Oh,
Boy
for
takes
sure.
it.
So do I.
And Vanderlei is a dangerous guy. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong,
That's
but
why you just double legged him, put him on his back.
immediately.
Chael's gonna.
yeah, I think Chael. I don't see a version where in a real street fight,
Yeah,
Chael
not-
Sonnen loses to Vanderlei.
No, not at all.
I don't see Chael Sonnen lose to a lot of people he lost to.
Yeah.
In a street fight, Chael Sonnen lose to a lot of those
yeah.
dudes.
No.
He's a hell of a wrestler, right?
yeah.
Strong. Apparently, he was juicing the whole time, right? And he grew up boxing. He's a very well-rounded dude, and he's a big dude.
Yeah, he's
people
big.
forget how big of a Chael's a big guy.
Yeah.
So I don't see a lot of people taking Chael out in a street fight at all. So is anybody you think like that you've lost to that if it was like street fight unregulated, like it wouldn't be like even close?
I don't know. There's a lot of if I could have no time limit. Yeah, I think the only how many fights have I lost? 4. I'm trying to think. I fought 4 times. Yeah, I don't know. I think in a street fight or no time limit or no rules. Shit, who knows?
At 145, I'm trying to think of 145 like long term, who like takes you like in a street fight. I mean, anything can happen, right? It's always a fight. But like if you had an eyeball tested, you're too. I think I was gonna say Max, but I think you're too like you can wrestle him in a street fight. Being able to just slam him on his neck is too dangerous. Ilya, I don't think Ilya has any shot in a street fight. Like, against you, I think rounds and points matter, but nothing stopping you. You guys can just do what the fuck you
I'm
want.
just gonna keep on coming.
Yeah,
Give me 10 rounds now.
I don't know. It would be interesting because he's a dog too.
Yeah, no,
but
for sure.
T-City, I think, because his submissions are still submissions, street fight or not, the right position, he's gonna break your shit. He's gonna break an arm or like choke you the fuck out, and nobody's there to stop him. He could be dangerous. So I think grappling wise, I think T-City matches up against everybody in the street fight. So, but again, what the fuck do I know, man? I say I'm just trying to think from eyeball tests, but you guys are the ones that have been in to get with each other to know. But we're gonna wrap up there. I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
Got